destruction, but Gent will be our leading damage dealer. Purple Shield's able to absorb a bit more damage. Black Hole dropping down. Tripod's kind of stuck towards this building. Hopefully they don't get surrounded. Prowler's out here for Deeds, and we know he knows what to do with it.
As long as he knows which weapon he has out. Last time he looked like he was shooting the wingman across the map. We'll see if he ends up making that mistake. But it's wild to me that this is the loadout that he is anticipating right now. Prowler, very strong. Wingman, but it's a very unforgiving combo. If you're not able to hit your shots, then you're going to get punished for it. But you can see Nick Mercs and squad are on the run. Mike and Ike is a very solid team, and they are not wasting any time pushing over towards tripods after getting that first initial damage.
Love the rotation by Tripods, but they weren't able to get the free shots as Mike and Ike tried to close the distance, and now Mike and Ike is already in their face. Looks like Gent was able to take down MJ off the screen. That's going to be big. At least a 3v2 is what we're looking at. Deeds trying to pop a couple of shots, but no shields to work with. Deeds is going to go down, and now this should be a bit of a 2v2. Nick Mercs trying to find the flank angle, but he's taking back shots here, and not the good kind. Forced to back down, play his heals. Hopefully him and Gent can fight off and at least recover the banner, but as of right now, Tripods, they're in trouble.
They're definitely in trouble. It's weird how that fight ended up panning out. It looks like they had the advantage. Next thing you know, Deed's taking a little bit of damage. I like the idea to fly out, but he just gets ripped apart by the car, and Mike and Ike looks like they're going to end up prevailing throughout all of this fight. Team Cardinal is going to go down. Chaotic coming in with the R301, the patented weapon combo for him, and you can see why the back off was coming through. Aegon by AOC is in the vicinity. They're dropping Mike and Ike like flies. It's some partner on partner action happening over here as Aegon by AOC is trying to get on the board, and they are going to be able to do so. It's going to be a little bit of a split from the rest of the players though, because now we have 2 players on each team and potential banner camping happening from Aegon.
Aegon looking to introduce themselves to the fight here. Pretty comfortable playing outside of the circle. It should be easy for them to rotate at least into a safer place, but they still have 2 teams to work with. Like you said, they're both should be duos. So as of right now, Aegon still feel comfortable rotating in. They're ready for any fight that may come their way. We have 17 squads actually on the map. Round 1 is coming to a close. Round 2 should be moving in. And in case they need to take a late rotation, obviously you have that Valkyrie ult to work with as well. Aegon feel very comfortable right now, despite not end up getting the exact KP they were looking for going in for that third-party situation.
Yes, chat, he did say that. I'm still recovering from it, but we'll move on anyway.
The flank shot. She was. Well, it was a good flank.
There's no coming back from that one, Tony. You're done for. So he's send that clip into EA. He's out of here. back on board with Aegon, and that was a very interesting situation that happened because why is everyone flying to the back of Climatizer throughout all of this? It's not even an interesting rotation to come from this side of the train tunnel, but these teams are doing it and they're looking to fight. It's like they felt, weakness back there. Mike and Ike's not a weak team either, so a very odd rotation coming in, but it works out for Aegon by AOC. They're going to take on over towards the skies, and a majority of this should be free. It looks like the res happened in the very back corner, Tony. I wonder which team this is.
Well, Aegon are not going to let them get that rotation in for free. They're already on the hunt here, and of course it's going to be Tripods that are back up to a trio, but once again you still have 2 players with the white shields. They're not comfortable enough to fight. Up the balloon they go. They'll be able to work with that. I mean, you don't have the Valkyrie ult, but this balloon should work almost as well. But my gosh, Deeds taking shots once again. Luckily able to survive for a bit, but you can only imagine maybe Aegon might be on their tail. Aegon might choose to chase them all the way here into Skyhook.
Why not? More kills and tons of medkits and utility being dropped there for Deeds, but this isn't an ideal situation, right? You have Longbow Mastiff. Maybe you could end up making it work, but they do get into a building, and if you do start a fight over towards Skyhook, you know that there's going to be a huge domino effect because this is where the zone's going to pull. So heads up play from Tripods. They originally lost a player, and then Aegon kind of saves them by pushing on to Team Mike and Ike, and then they're able to reset. So maybe they'll be able to pick up some more scrap loot along the way as the production team does a great job of pulling up the minimap. We can see exactly where all of the teams are postured. And keep your eyes on SSG and DZ, the 2 teams that took the God spots in the previous game They're right next to each other again. Leave no witnesses, trying to take over towards the train area, and that spot is taken already. So SSG in a great spot to maybe win back-to-back games if they can execute.
The one thing about SSG is that they always have a game plan going into every single one of these matches. No matter what the rotation is, they always know where their god spot is and where they want to play. And at that point, it's just all about execution to get into their spots and then play from there. They're obviously comfortable fighting it out. They can all hit their shots. They can all win their 1v1s. As of right now, you see SSG find themselves towards the backside of the circle. They have a lot of cover, even a bit of height advantage. I'm loving the spot that they're in. Top Gun, very similar position. They find themselves towards the backside of this inner circle, but Designful going all the way down to one shot. You better watch out. He said, you know what? I'm not going to play this height anymore. I'm going to drop down. Looks like there's a cake going on because there's layers of defense over towards this building. Top Gun are not the only team in this vicinity.
Busting out the Pathfinder. Excited to see if Designful will get back up because love watching some Pathfinder gameplay. Great shots through the window coming in from Chaotic. He's going to knock a couple of players. And that looks like one of my ultimates coming through the window, but they do get Designful backup shots all over the place over towards this roof. Drone detected, and we'll see if they can get out of this, Tony. Top Gun in a very tight spot right now. Definitely an action flick for sure for them. And you know Designful is not happy about the longbow across the map. Excuse me, 30-30 coming in from Frex.
Threading the needle for that one. Designful ends up going down. They're trying to play the res off. They just have no space to play. At first glance, this looks like a great spot for them to be in, but with multiple teams hawking them and stalking them and keeping them out, it's only a matter of time before the nades start to come in, and there they are, Arc Stars and Frags having to use the knockdown shield just to cover in. Now a Valkyrie player is going to push in, and that's going to be it for Top Gun. 16 squads, 47 players on the map.
Tough spot for Top Gun. I mean, you're in between, again, two great teams, DZ and SSG. Very viable opponents. The only thing that was missing was maybe like a defensive bombardment from Gibby, but I don't think Gibby's even in the lobby right now as we see Aegon putting in some serious work. This is, I think, possibly Mike and Ike, and it is. They found him. They waited a long time for this rotation to come through, and they're rewarded with some more kill points.
Aegon looking to push up onto Mike and Ike, and looks like they end up getting the kill they were looking for. A new kill leader has emerged, and just like that, Mike and Ike being sent to the lobby in its own. And I mean, they still should feel kind of somewhat comfortable. They can get into toward that inner circle very quickly. They still have the Valkyrie for that rotation, so Aegon finally find the kills they were looking for, and now looking to push up once again. Hopefully they can make it towards the end game. Oh.
The entire time, Razor's just been scouting this out. The R301 2X for Washi. Remember, they lost one of their players over towards the tree side, so this has been just a duo the entire game. And they're doing a good job holding them off. You got to play big in these moments. Oh my gosh, these shots from long range from Washington, they're not easy to hit, and he's able to do so.
That man clearly been hitting the range. I'm just saying, man, those shots with the R301 were looking crispy. I think all he had was a bruiser. Meanwhile, Bourne, like, okay, you have a charge rifle. It's easier to hit with the 3X. Come on now. But still, those shots from Walsh were nice. Razor now going to rotate. I like to find a bit of a different angle. Leave no witnesses might be in a battle themselves, sitting towards this middle side of the building, but you know that there's going to be multiple teams trying to claim real estate here. It might be a matter of time before Leave no witnesses are forced to fight out.
It's going to be such a fun zone when round 4 starts to close. You can see the scan onto the next one, courtesy of the crypto from Leave no witnesses, and it's Renatricky picking up that information. Thank you, Renatricky. And it's spot on coming in from DZ and SSG. We know it's going to continue to pull over towards that side. It's not going to bounce like it did last time. Razor gets the kills there by Aegon, and that's insane. Aegon by OC is out. Just a duo. And you know what, Tony? Razor has picked up their game today. They're playing phenomenal.
Yeah, I guess that charge rifle and R301 a combination is really tough to deal with, especially when you're fighting out of the storm. But now it looks like Razor might have been spotted onto the rotation in. Washi taking a lot more damage than expected. Born the leading player here as they try to find a spot that they can play in. 14 squads going to be really tough for them to try to make endgame as a duo, but if anybody can, it's obviously them.
And it looks like this building is going to be free because they know it's going to end up pulling away from them. So SSG made their move. They're out of there. they're most likely not in the train area anymore, but it's going to be interesting to see if Razor gets spotted out as just a duo. Now the scans are coming through, and it makes you wonder if that team has the information that they need to go and push this one. They're out of there, and Razor is on the run. They're going to have to find some playable area. That bottom middle area is typically open. If there is a spot, you can have about 2 or 3 teams down there. Kraber in the hand of Psycho. Let's see if he can get some psychotic shots in. Hopefully land some Kraber shots with this 3x flatline 2 in the back pocket. What a setup here. Maybe he got this one from the Black Market Boutique as the push comes through. Some Arc Stars not going to stick. Flank coming in over towards the side. He opens the door back up too to continue to lay shots on the horizon. Zerbo's going to have to hit a battery. They're all playing on the second floor at this point. PK in the pocket here for Sung as well. Nice to see that one being crafted up along the way. But because he has to cover for his teammates to heal, Sung ends up overextending a little bit, and now he's the one that needs help.
The flatline hipfire shot so accurate as you saw, but it looks like Sun taking so much damage. Down to 1 shot, he goes. Psycho is going to be the first one to go down. It looks like all of Slepton are in trouble. In fact, 2 players hitting the black screen here, and now it seems like only a matter of time before Sung gets eliminated himself. He has no choice but to rotate out, find a new position. I'm not even sure he can come back for these banners. He might be ratting out the rest of the game here.
Yeah, Sung, longtime member of the Series E family, originally playing on a couple partnered squads, if I'm not mistaken, and then a tournament winner playing on Caustic. So definitely a very talented player, but unfortunately for Slepton, there was just too much pressure inside of that building. A great job by the enemy team with the bait and switch action. As you see another fight taking place inside of Skyhook, it's going to be Joe Max, who I've been extremely impressive with. This is going to be the first knock coming into Pubsky's team. Pubsky, though, with the Prowler, is able to answer right back, so they're going to have to back up on the LNW side. Maybe some armor swaps over towards the bottom. Both those armors are going to be taken. It is a little bit of an upgrade. Gold knockdown shield res is available if he wants to get this one, but it's going to be the Phoenix kit instead, and this is a Saurus on the opposite side. They've already got the reset. They have an opportunity to potentially take this fight, and it makes you wonder, Tony, if they take this fight and they continue to go at it, and this straight up 3-on-3, if there's going to be a third party.
Yeah, all the noise that they're making towards this building, just inviting any other team to get involved. I mean, the longer this takes, the more of a chance they have of another team coming in. The Service taking so much damage. Pubsky ends up hitting the ground here. Our Seer player trying to find the angle. Through the thermite he goes. Even the card not going to be enough to survive that. Right down to the low ground to help his teammate out. I love the play and I love the angle he's able to create, but it's not enough. Leave no witnesses. They leave no witnesses. XSI coming in for the third party as well. As Service did get eliminated. Leave no witnesses. They're left behind as well. And just like that, we're down to 10 squads.
Yeah, that fight was just taking way too long for both of these teams, and XSI understanding the situation, waiting for Nox to come in on both sides. They clean it up. Got to be impressed with the way Leave No Witnesses is team fighting, though. Everything in terms of the baiting and switching, the reset, really on point. Followed up with the shots as Slepton does finally get taken out. Nice job from Sung staying alive as long as possible. A very small circle, 9 squads still remaining.
Tyson have found the building to play through here, but notice that they're not towards that inner circle, and they have a bit of rotation to make. There's plenty of teams on the map that should be able to see them if they try to play through open field. Already fighting out one. I wonder if a Valkyrie ult might be in their future here. Seer trying to find any information possible. Is there any way that Tyson can try to make it out of the situation and in toward that zone without going down? Nope. It's the Valkyrie ult. I think this is the right play. Honestly, if they try to play through that open field, there's going to be so many teams that get a sight line on them. Hopefully they can find a spot easily here. Otherwise, they may just land right on a team and have to fight it out.
I like this idea to go in towards the back of the market side, make some circles, try to get as many scans on the area as possible. They know they're going to be coexisting with a handful of teams. That's why the Seer ultimate is coming down, and now it's time to focus as many sides as possible. But there's just too many to cover, so they're going to have to take a fight. The Arcstar goes down, Stinky taking a lot of damage. Somehow was able to avoid all of these grenades until a big explosion happening on the backhand side of Market, and death coming in hands of Dark Zero as they start to move up. Your kill feed just lighting up as the zone starts to shrink and all of these teams are forced into one another. Jen Burton with the R301 Prowler combo. This guy just doesn't miss. Absolute monster. Razor still alive as a 202 throughout all of this. They're trying to fight Deeds in the Tripod squad on the opposite side. XSI was eliminated. Seer ultimate happening to try to force them off the area. And I don't think that Jen Burton realizes that this is just a two-man on the opposite side. Somehow, some way, Razor is prevailing throughout all of this. Big props to them for just playing this out as a two-man.
It's Razor and Tripods that are kind of coexisting on this wall, but they're both being searched out by DZ. This could be some valuable points for DZ if they come in and get the cleanups here, but Razor coming in with the quickness, going right after Jen and Deez. The elimination comes in, down to 3 squads, but Razor not really having much to fight in. It looks like a 3v3v2. If somehow Razor come out on top, would this not be the greatest run by a duo that we've seen in the esports arena?
Yeah, no doubt about it. On the opposite side, you do have CLG, but look at DZ's positioning, Tony. They got fences all over the place. Sharky is owning this real estate. While that's happening, you have Zero and Jen Burton on the opposite side putting in work, making sure that they're focusing exactly where CLG is going to be coming from. But I love the way Razor is playing big here. They're not playing scared. They're continuing to put in some serious work. And if they could possibly pick off Sharky in this 2 versus 1, then they're going to have a huge advantage. But that's what Sharky's doing. He's baiting them out. That's going to be a big move for CLG. That's going to buy time for them. The interception pylon goes down. Razor starts to make their move. A nice job avoiding the thermites until the second one ends up landing. And CLG starting to encroach over towards the backhand side. Seer ultimate happening. Zero ends up going down. Razor putting in work, taking down members of DZ. CLG going to come in with the easy cleanup. And they're going to take game 2 with their eyes closed.
CLG were just waiting for the knocks to come in, fundamentally played, and now it's a 3v2. What? Hold on. Looks like Nano ends up going down. I almost thought it was possible for DZ to pull off the 2v3, but not in CLG's house. They're going to come out with the big win in game number 2, and I can't wait to see that leaderboard.
And unfortunately, the little separation there that DZ had, allowing all of those fences to kind of play as the defensive area, didn't mean much when Razor decided that they wanted to push through. Also, the thermites end up going past the interception pylon and in the perfect spot. But a great performance from everybody, from DZ finding their location, getting into the God spot for a second time in a row. It's just not fully there on the execution side. A couple of things to clean up, but again, that's why they're going through the motions of practicing. And then CLG basically gifted with that one with their further positioning, because they had the longest route to take coming all the way through. They went through Team Razor, and because Razor says, you know what, we feel like we can go and maybe get this kill on the Watson and flank around, that ended up being the big determining factor. But I think DZ had the right idea. Focus one player over towards the side, allow him to put down defenses. As soon as they were kind of split up, though, that's when Razor collapsed on that area. That was game number 2. One more on World's Edge before we switch on over to Storm Point. We're going to toss this one to Yeso.
Forgot to mention it during my last segment, but happy to notice that I was actually wrong about Dark Zero being here today. Of course, they're still trying to get those reps in, get prepared for London. They have a solid performance there in Game 2, getting into that top 3, and Razor making things interesting in the end. Dark Zero able to take them out, but unfortunately, the wounds that they sustain in that fight sets things up for CLG to grab the win there. And CLG continues to be the best team in Series E these last few weeks. They've been so good here on Wednesday nights since the start of 2023, and they keep it rolling here with this win in game number 2. This brings us to our Mobile One high performance moment here for game 2 as we get ready for our last game on World's Edge here for the day. And it is going to be the finish here. Dark Zero doing a good job of kind of pulling Razor in and not losing too much initially, but the problem is that Zero going in there and getting wiped out in a sightline for CLG means that they're able to clean up the kill, and then things go wrong from Dark Zero from there. CLG push in very cleanly, wipe up these kills, and while Nano does go down, there's really no concern whatsoever because both other members full health, ready to fight, and they're able to take out Dark Zero. But again, DZ does a good job of getting that interceptor pylon down and pulling in Razor, but Zero just getting caught in an unfortunate position there means that even with those armor swaps available for Dark Zero, they're at that severe numbers disadvantage, and CLG able to come in and clean up this fight and grab the win in game number too. So well played on that front. Let's check out how that changes things on our Mobile One leaderboard, because of course things going to look a lot different without SSG taking that win, and they only pick up a few points, 3 points for SSG in this second game, and CLG with that big win jump up into first place by a point. And Razor, we have to note, back-to-back top 3 finishes from the squad. Not getting a ton in the KP department, but they've had a solid first couple of games and have themselves in a really respectable position here going into our final game of the first half. So well played there by Razor, and if they can keep that rolling, they may have an opportunity to make some moves here when we head over to Storm Point. Just got to keep yourself in the mix here as we get later on in the day. So well played from Razor, and of course hats off CLG. Nice W there and a solid third-party timing to grab the win over Dark Zero. We're gonna head to a break right now. When we come back, T-Squared and Why Not will take a look at what we just saw and get you ready for Game 3.
Welcome back, everybody. One more game on World's Edge. We've seen some really great performance from both our partnered and pro teams. T-Squared and Why Not bringing you the action. Great analysis there from Yeso, too, as we move forward and try to figure out who's going to end up taking this one before the ALGS London playoffs that are taking place next weekend. It's going to be an exciting time. Let's go ahead and take a look potentially at that leaderboard if we have it again, so we can see where everybody is kind of lined up too and go through everything, because Tony, some really exciting games, multiple zones, Thermal Station over towards the southern side, another one over towards Skyhook. What a bloodbath at the end.
Yeah, there were definitely some winners and some losers going into that game number 2. Like right off the rip, I know CLG definitely a winner, obviously coming out with the big win, but also Razor, Tripods, and DZ. DZ desperately needed to climb up that rank from the 10th place spot over towards, I believe they're sitting in 5th place right now. So definitely a nice little climb by them, as you're seeing right here. Same thing with Tripods, they remain consistent as well. They're sitting in 4th place, and like we talked about Razor, some names that didn't have the best game number 2 compared to their game number 1. I had to point out SSG. You have a 24-point performance in game number 1. Now only 3 points after that game 2. We're going to really need them to kind of replicate that game 1 success in game 3 if they want to keep their spot in the top 2.
Yeah, and I wish that you could almost like predetermine where the zones were going to be from behind the scenes, right? Because if I had my pick, we would never have zones continue to pull over towards the same side of the map, right? Let's throw this one all the way over towards the east side now. Heck, let's throw it over towards like that overlook side, or maybe from No Name going across from Fragment East, because that's the corner of the maps, right, Tony? You have so much diversity from the rotations, and it makes it just that much more interesting. So hopefully we get an exciting game in terms of where the zone's going to pull in game number 3. But going and looking at this Mobile One leaderboard, there's a lot going on over towards this top hand side. CLG, SSG, Razor, Tripods, DZ, those are your top 5. Leave no witnesses behind them. Mike and Ike, it's been pretty exciting to watch these teams perform. I think that there's a reason why they're at the top. They've done a great job of 1, executing, 2, picking the right spots to go and hold, and then 3, their team fighting capabilities have been very, very strong.
Yeah, we're going to find out who's going to be mining for gold or data, whatever it is that you find going into this game number 3 to find out where that God spot is going to be. And now it's our last time. This is our last game on World's Edge, so I wonder if we're going to see some composition start to change, especially for anybody who's sitting towards that right-hand side of the leaderboard. Like maybe they need to get a little bit more aggressive before getting over towards Storm Point. Maybe we see a little bit less cryptos and maybe some more octanes. I don't know.
More Bangalores, I think. I think that's something that you brought up earlier, was that Bangalore is very viable in Storm Point, especially because there's not many building endings and you're not holding inside of buildings. And I think that's why we're seeing certain, compositions being held here, especially when you need to infiltrate buildings. That's what Seer and Horizon are very good at, because you can get information, you land the horizontal, everybody's trapped inside, and it really stops people from kind of sitting shoulder to shoulder in there. As we see the map overview and the fly through for the rest of our teams here, and to find out where this zone is going to be very shortly. But we have a couple of 50-50s taking place, most notably over towards the landslide area. This is a team that was in love with 50-50s with Xset a majority of our previous seasons, and looks like CLG's into some interesting stuff over here. They're trying to bully teams off of these 3 bins. That's how viable every little ounce of loot is over towards World's Edge. You need as much as possible, as we see this 50-50 happening between Slepton and Team Intel. Intel learning from their mistakes this time. They're going to take on over towards the high ground, but unfortunately for them again, it's another Mozambique. They are cursed by the Mozambique.
May not be the best for loot, but it's certainly fun to fight in, or anybody other than Intel. As of right now, they are getting that is another 50-50 loss over toward the Intel side. Slepton comes out on top. Now they get all of this loot. They even have a Lobus in case they don't find the vault key. They're able to steal from the vault a little bit. Slepton obviously happy with that performance. Hopefully they can carry that out over toward the end game.
Very nicely done. As we don't get our wish, it moves over towards Countdown, but the teams over towards the landslide area, like Slepton, will love that one. SSG over towards the Lava Fissure area. This is where most likely the zone's going to pull, so the rich get richer in terms of they've been able to pick the God spots. This time they are handed the God spot, basically, as DZ's been the other team that's been right on their heels the majority of the time. They're rotating out of that Fragment East side. Hakulos and the rest of their squad making their rotation as well, as we see another fight happening with XSI. They're going to be over towards the staging side, and we saw a lot of action in game number 1 over towards staging. What a nade onto Impulse.
My gosh. Impulse going to be forced to back down and heal. He's going to be out of the play for quite a bit of time while his teammates try to cover his back, and now the Seer Q is going to come in. That stops the heal, but beautiful shots coming in. It looks like there's 2 players that go down quick. XSI only have to deal with 1, and just like that, Cardinal end up getting eliminated. Despite the beautiful nade onto Impulse, they're still able to recover. They're still able to slay out and bring us down to just 18 squads.
And again, the power of Seer in these situations, if you end up clumping inside just like this, Seer's going to be able to hit you with the Q. You get all that information right next to each other. Horizon doesn't have the ult that early into the game, but say that they were in that area, they would have ended up just getting black holed, and it would have been over for them. As you see a great team fight from XSI. They definitely needed those points. Currently in 10th place, a very tough lobby overall as everyone prepping again for the playoffs next week. And if they're not in the playoffs, well, trying to make it into the next one, or trying to make it into the next season of Series E. And you brought that up, Tony. If you want more information on how to get involved with Series E, Follow the Esports Arena Twitter at Esports Arena. There's always a lot of information, a lot of good also memes coming in there. I took my beanie off so I didn't get memed on specifically.
And you know, on top of the information, on top of the memes, I also like that fantasy. I've been participating in the fantasy and getting my butt kicked. Oh my, I don't know what's worse, me playing this game or me picking winners. Oh my goodness, I've been getting destroyed in fantasy as Aegon trying to destroy this side of the map here. We saw in game number 2, they were able to clear out. The third parties were coming in quick. They really controlled Climatizer over from the perimeter. And looks like they're looking to do the same thing again, but hold on, a trailer coming in out of nowhere. Great shots going back and forth. Aegon looking to fight here. They look comfortable. You got a Havoc with a turbocharger. You know Force wants to put that to work immediately. 44, 37, 27 more. That Havoc hits so hard.
It's been definitely a weapon of choice overall today. This is a team that got dropped by Razor as a duo. We didn't get a chance to talk about them enough. I mean, we were hyping them up during the game. But round of applause for Razor, putting together one of the best duo performances that we've seen in Series Z history, at least at recent memories, as we see Slayer taking a decent amount of damage. And they're trying to figure out where exactly is this coming from. Well, guys, you're in the middle of the open, so I would try to get some cover here because they're getting shot from every which way.
Valkyrie don't need no cover. She has a jetpack. What do you mean? She's all right. 30-30 and Havoc in the hands of 4C. So you can only imagine that he's feeling comfortable from the long range with that 30-30. When things get up close and personal, the Havoc can do work. And as much as we hyped up Razor in game number 2, they weren't able to have the best game number 3. They're going to be eliminated in 18th place. Top Gun defending Thermal Station with perfection.
Interesting. It looks like they were all going over towards the beacon scan at the same exact time, and you get punished because they didn't have an opportunity to hit that beacon scan. The last thing that you expect is all of Top Gun to be there, but now the third party is coming through. Asuris is going all the way towards the back of the map. The zone isn't even coming close to over here, so this has to be frustrating for Top Gun. There goes Chaotic in the air, hitting him with the strafe, hitting him with the ult. Nades should be landing on top of that. Perfect execution coming in, and a potential 2v1 for Chaotic. If he can land it, God of Gotti gets dropped. That's going to be the flatline. Pubsky took a decent amount of damage as well. Tripod's taken on your screen, and they don't need Designful. They got Chaotic.
And that's the power of Horizon right there. You see Top Gun start to get pushed out, and in every awkward stage of the game, they really weren't prepared for it. And then what happens? Chaotic takes to the skies, throws the ultimate, throws off the rhythm of their opponents, and are able to close the gap on them and turn a terrible situation into a great one. Horizon's such a strong legend, but also Top Gun are such a strong fighting team. 15 squads remaining, and SSG once again having a bit of a tough time here in game number 3 on World's Edge. We saw them with that 24-point performance in game number 1, only 3 points in game 2, and now left ratting it out on game 3.
Tough break because the zone was over towards their side. They had the advantage in terms of being able to pick rotations. Something must have went horribly wrong for them, as now the rest of the teams are going to start making their way over towards where SSG is. Remember, they were landing over towards Lava Fisher. This is moving on over towards Countdown, which is on your screen. And Zenial picks one of these rat spots that is going to be a pretty good spot. I mean, there's not a lot of people that are going to drop down there. If they do drop down there, they should be weak and running from another team. Sharky getting a knock in your kill feed. We'll see if he can get the Thirst too, as we see Dark Zero taking another team fight. And the Thirst does happen onto Epoxy. That's going to be another kill going on over towards Dark Zero. Riot Drill happening through the window, eliminating the doors. Another one of the underrated things for Maggie is very similar to Valkyrie. She can get rid of those doors, and in competitive play, that is absolutely huge. This is Team Six Figures. We saw them taking a decent fight over towards the Skyhook side. Hopefully they can pick up a little bit more points, but they have a pretty solid setup here. Volt PK, Purple Bolt, coming with the Digi threat if we do see any Bangalores, which we know that the Bangalore is on the bottom half of where their feet are, so maybe they can drop down and find that kill. This is where Geometrics needs to be hitting scans, but you don't scan below you because you're not necessarily thinking, where is a player below me right now?
Wonder how they're going to be able to get out of this situation here. I mean, they're still looking comfortable, but you can only imagine there's multiple teams in the area, and eventually they might get closed in on. Meanwhile, Slept On feeling comfortable. Longbow in the hands of Sung takes a lot more damage than expected, but he's going to heal up real quick. Nobody getting pushed just yet A countdown. The countdown's a fun area to fight, and obviously you have a lot of real estate within those buildings, but you got to be careful. If you're not watching all your angles, you can get pushed up on, and that could be a problem as you're seeing that he'll start to close in more towards countdown, more towards landslide. I wonder where it's going to pull from here.
I've been wrong with a majority of these zones so far, Tony. I think every single one. I remember in Thermal Station, I was like, yeah, man, it's landing on the platform. And then in Skyhook, I was like, totally, train station. This time I was like, Lava Fisher. All right, that's why I'm casting, chat. That is not why, not my strong suit, all right? I play controller. I don't know where the zones are going.
Hashtag not my IGL.
Yeah, right? I could definitely lead us through the skirmishes and the team fights. Going where the zone's going to go, that's on you guys, all right? Figure it out. Play crypto.
There it is. Play crypto. Even though Slepton don't have a crypto, they do have a Loba, which again we love for that resource utility. Even if you're not heavily within the fight, stealing resources from your opponent's death boxes, you're still able to steal them away with that black market boutique. So all angles being watched here for Slepton. You can only imagine that towards the end of this zone, going into like round number 3 and 4, there's gonna be a lot of teams that are trying to take that flank area to try to get into countdown, especially as that hill starts to move closer to it. I actually really like Slepton's position. 3 kills already for Sun. I know we have at least 2 on the other side, and as teams start to come in towards that back area, they should get some free shots as well.
Poor Epoxy. That's the second time we've seen him in the kill feed recently, getting dropped immediately off of his respawn as his teammates were able to get back in the game, but he's going to be donating some more kill points to the lobby. As you see Slepton, like you said, in a decent spot over here. They have long range, they have close range. We've talked about this a lot, though. It's one thing to pick the God spot. It's another thing to go and hold that as we switch on over to Team Mike and Ike. Tony's team to watch in terms of our partner teams beforehand, mainly because of this man on your screen, MJ, and they've been a little quiet today. We just are 2 games in. We're now on our 3rd game, so plenty of room to pick up the pace as Mike and Ike is fairly far from where this zone's going to be. They're going to be making the rotation in from the Skyhook side. It doesn't look like anyone is fairly close to the vicinity. He's just waiting for someone to land over here. The black hole does land, but it doesn't go into the spot that MJ wanted. A very rare mistake coming in from MJ, but he's crouching on the opposite side. How do they not see him?
What a play by MJ, anticipating where the team is going to land. Even though the black hole doesn't connect the way he wants to, he's still able to find an angle onto one. Look at the damage he's able to create. I think I just seen 350 damage in that short amount of time. MJ creating the opening for the rest of the players now closing. However, Wizard Coin doesn't end up going down. Aegon do get eliminated either way. Nobody in vicinity to be able to third party, so a quick res. Beautifully played by MJ and Mike and Ike. There's a reason why he was the MVP last season.
Yeah, and maybe he ends up throwing that ultimate directly on top of him just in case someone wanted to go and land on the ultimate height, and that forces him down no matter what. I thought he was going for the roof, but not the ultimate height directly below him. So very interesting play from MJ, but can we talk about those PK shots just popping off there with the amount of damage that you did? Like you said, Tony, about 300 damage in just a very short amount of time, taking about 100 overall. Speaking of damage, Nano put in some serious work there with the R301. He has the Prowler with the Digithreat on the backhand side as well. And that's going to be Stakini and Cruisin getting dropped almost immediately. CLG about full shields throughout all of this. He's going to pop a cell just to secure this one in case a third party comes through. But it's a 3v1, and Tyson gets dropped almost immediately. There was nothing they could do once Nano just burst the player on the opposite side of the trailer.
And I love the fact that CLG plays so well together. You saw both of those players climbing this truck at the exact same time. So even if that player's in a 1v2, if they were to isolate one and win that engagement, they still have to deal with a player that's completely behind them. So it was just well played by CLG to be able to collapse and execute and eventually earning those points. And now the charge rifle getting so much value. They were making noise. They invited a third party, and there it comes. Hey, those drills are tough, man. They do what they want.
He was trying to get that one perfectly with the head glitch that he had and ended up just a little bit late on pushing that. But either way, interesting strategy from CLG to take the height over towards landslide. It makes you wonder, are they doing this to try to pick up kills and make a late rotation, or do they anticipate the zone moving away from countdown and going over towards landslide? It could be a big play if that's going to be the case, and they have the composition for it. You can own a lot of areas with this caustic, and the barrels are just going to be so useful over towards the high ground. No one will be able to push you. You have a great weaponization in terms of having sniper rifles as well, but while that's happening, Saucer gets a knock, R9 in his hands, and Vermouth on the run here. Truman does have a little bit of healing that he needs to do before he ends up taking this fight. There goes the thirst onto Maxi, and the push is on. This is, again, pretty far from where the final circle is going to be, so teams are going to have to fight their way out of there, and this is on the Lava Fissures side, originally where SSG was landing, so very important for Vermont to try to stay alive, but I don't think they're going to be able to. They're getting shot from two different areas right now. There goes the Horizon left. This is Impulse getting dropped and thirsted. Working just a duo. Got some Team Razor in them over here, Tony.
I mean, it was some beautiful shots by the R301 by both of these players here, but like you said, there's just too much. There's just too many angles that are being caught on. There's too many players that are just hunting them down right now. It must be so frustrating if you're Vermouth right now. The Prowler comes in, newly buffed and looking good. My gosh, Truman with the damage. Then the flank off, able to eliminate XSI. Hundoy, get out of that zone. You are one shot and going down. That's going to leave Truman by himself for just a bit. And I don't know how he's going to be able to get out of this. Even the Bangalore can't escape. Top Gun hunting you down.
Big damage from Chaotic, and that's what Chaotic does. Already has 1,000 in this one. The Thermite going to connect through the smoke. Doesn't need to know where they're at because he sees the ticks happening over towards the top-hand side. Perfect third party coming in from Top Gun, and they're starting to heat up. MVP of the game so far. Definitely that man on your screen on Horizon. As CLG now gets dropped, this is going to be Klain and his squad making some moves. Oh my, burst damage. Someone needs to stop Nano. The dude's an absolute monster with this R301. He's even got the gold Prowler in his pocket if anyone ends up getting a little bit closer, but he's a turret up there, Tony.
Despite the fact that his teammate goes down so quick, Nano's able to stabilize just with those beautiful R301 shots, and Mamba gonna follow it right up. SZN get eliminated. Despite the fact that Shy got ripped right there, CLG somehow still able to equalize the situation. However, their player was turned into a banner. They'll have to try to find some way to revive them. Meanwhile, Top Gun doing exactly what Top Guns do. They just pick on you. They bully. The moment they start hearing shots, they come in for the third party, come in like a gender and sweep you away. Move on to see another day. 24 seconds to round number 4. Hill is closing in, and we only have 6 squads on the map.
Very fast-paced game number 3 here. A lot different than what we had in Skyhook, where everyone was posturing, waiting for the final zone to go and collapse. And the pace has been picked up because you have a team like Top Gun, who's known for having these pop-off games. They've really picked up the pace here. Designful on this Pathfinder, definitely a joy to watch. But for the most part, it's been the Chaotic show. Even when they lost Designful, he came through with the 2v1 on Horizon, putting in some serious work. You could see the difference in damage between him and the rest of his teammates over here, but that's what Chaotic was picked up for this team to begin with. They knew that he was a massive slayer, former #1 pred, consistently over towards the top-hand side of the rankings, and just a confident fragger. He takes the skies over here, gets on top of the yellow tankers, and they have another team inside of their sights. At this point, though, Tony, you got to realize, okay, wait, we can't really take every single fight in our sights. We have to wait a little bit longer, figure out where the rest of these players are going to be. That's why you see the pings happening. 3 teams directly on top of them. We talked about the layer cake. 1 team below them, 2 across from them, 4 teams over here, 1 team on the outside. That's CLG. Big shot from Designful. That charged up Sentinel rips.
My gosh. Mike and I definitely upset with that one. Designful has them in their sights with the charged up Sentinels hit almost as hard as a Kraber sometimes. We saw the 132 flashing across the screen. CLG trying to find some kind of entrance here. Yeah, and actually already taking down the team. Purple Dragon end up getting eliminated. CLG still find himself on the outside of Countdown, and once they get closer, they're going to realize there are so many teams that are going to be able to zone them out. I can't even imagine how CLG find the entry point with all of these squads just sitting here guarding Countdown.
Potentially hoping that they get distracted with each other because they are the furthest away from where these teams are going to be. So it's up to Nano to try to weasel his way a little bit forward. You can see the cat's cradle set up there for DZ. Jen Burton, it's his job to watch that side. Interesting that DZ elects to take that little crevice, and without a Horizon here, without a Valkyrie, Tony, you're right. I mean, how do they get in? How do they make their way forward? There is a little bit playable area on top of this rock and on the wall if they wanted to go and do so, but they're very vulnerable and susceptible to potential Horizon ultimates if that's going to be the case. Nano does have his portal. He could potentially get crazy, go through all those fences with the Q and portal his team on the opposite side. I think that would be suicide, but you could see the setup happening. That's why the barrels are going down, and CLG looks like they found their place to play.
CLG currently sitting in the #1 spot early on in the tournament, but not about how you start. It's often about how you finish. And DZ looking to finish well off this game. Just 5 squads on the map. They're going to relocate here, so I wonder if CLG are aware of that. I know CLG were trying to find an entrance over towards that low ground. They saw all the fences that kind of deterred them from making that push, but now that DC have relocated, maybe that's an opportunity that CLG can find an entrance closer into Countdown. Still not a favorable position, but at least they found themselves somewhat close here, but they also might have found themselves out of fight. CLG might have to go on against DZ. You're talking about 2 top 5 teams. This could be a very important battle here.
Both teams kind of taking their time. They understand that teams could potentially drop on them. Shots happening for Nano. The dude's been an absolute beast so far. But this is where the value of Caustic is so big, Tony. You could see that they're waiting to potentially take this fight, and Caustic Gas is going to be huge, especially with the Digidart. The swing happening over towards the right-hand side. Zero now trying to take on Nano 1v1, but Nano gets a little bit caught. He is able to get back on over towards safety. Top Gun eliminated in your screen as well, but DZ now on the ropes as Mike and Ike is going to help eliminate them. Straight up 3-on-3, CLG versus Mike and Ike for the win. MJ waiting to drop down here very shortly. Wizard Coin looking over towards the top-hand side. There goes the wrecking ball, and they're on top of Let Me Cook, man, getting absolutely melted with the RE45. They sensed a little bit weakness in the setup. One player completely away from the team, and they were able to put in some serious work, but it's not over yet. CLG versus Mike and Ike for the win. MJ still fairly weak. He's going to end up popping the battery. Mamba taking over the kill lead as well, and things are going to slow down here temporarily as they look at the zone and realize, hey, we don't have to move. We can let this one breathe just a little bit.
He wanted to cook, but he ends up getting cooked, and now Mike and Ike find himself in a 2v3 against CLG, a fundamentally disciplined squad. We talk about MJ constantly, but I will say Wizard Coin, he can definitely hold his own. Probably one of the more underrated players that we have on this squad, and as of right now, it is Mike and Ike that are holding onto the high ground. Circle starting to close in. Both of these teams will be forced to fight here. We will be crowning a winner here in game number 3, our final game of World's Edge. Who's it going to be, Mike and Ike or CLG?
Got to keep eyes on MJ here. If he's able to do some damage, then Wizard Quinn can follow that one up. Seer Ultimate ends up going down. There goes the Riot Drill through the wall. That's putting in a lot of work. It's going to be the push coming in. MJ starts the swing. They get 1 knock, but I don't think it's going to be enough. It's 1 player versus 2, and CLG takes game number 3. Great performance from them. They moved away from Harvester. Not that far of a rotation for them. They came on over towards Landslide. Were able to lock things down. But the execution, 10 out of 10. And that's been the keyword of the day. I love the portal coming in for Nano. I like how they were all spread apart there. 2 players on top of the blue crate. 1 player on over towards the side. And that is how you finish a game of Apex Legends. Very methodical game from CLG.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but normally in competitive play, when you see a Riot Drill coming in out of that Maggie, it'll do like maybe, 6, 12, maybe 15 damage. I don't know if I saw about 70 damage coming in from that drill, and CLG just perfectly holding Mike and Ike off, and Mike and Ike thought they had the opportunity to push in and end up getting put down. What a game by CLG, who were already sitting in the #1 spot and showing that this composition is the real deal, and you guys better watch out for Counter Logic Gaming.
Yeah, no doubt about it. It's a very weird composition, but it ends up working. You have rotations that you could have from Nano. You have aggressive play that comes out of Shy. Mamba locks things down with the Caustic. Whether it's comfort picks or they're just comfortable as a team playing those 3 specific legends, it works for them. And again, they were able to execute at a very high level, and you gotta respect that they're doing it with an unorthodox composition that probably nobody else is gonna run. I don't think we've seen those 3 specific legends being ran on a team since the last time we were in our ranked lobbies. So shout out to CLG for having a little bit of fun with it, and winning is definitely fun. But that was game number 3. We're switching on over to Storm Point. We're gonna toss this one over to Yeso and get his thoughts.
CLG doing a wonderful job there of following up their win in Game 2 with another really strong showing, and they get the back-to-back W's here to close out the first half on World's Edge. And CLG, I mean, they had that second place finish last week behind Dark Zero. They seem pretty set on taking the win here tonight. With 3 games to go, certainly plenty of Apex still to play, and some moves can certainly happen on that mobile and leaderboard. But at the very least, CLG have done their due diligence and set themselves up for success, certainly, through our first 3 games of the day. So hats off to them, and a big game there from Mamba. Those 7 kills really showing up strong as they cleaned up Mike and Ike in the end of that fight. Let's take a look at our Mobile 1 high performance moment here. We aren't going to look, though, at that end game. We're going to look a little bit earlier at one of the best plays from Mike and Ike that we've seen so far today. MJ just on the perfect perch here to catch out this enemy horizon, break those shields, and then just watch these beautiful PK flicks. Not a ton of damage there, but quick peek through the door for 81. Another for 110 right to the dome. MJ just not missing with that PK. The last person that you want to find outside of that door when you want to try and peek for a fight, because MJ just there to absolutely dome you, whether it is with the flatline or that Peacekeeper. And MJ just styling with it here as these players walked into just an absolute meat grinder. And that was Aegon by AOC that ran into MJ in the Mike and Ike squad, and they certainly got punished for it. Good game there from Mike and Ike as well. Do you have to mention they had a solid first and third game here today? It should have them in the mix near the top of our Mobile 1 leaderboard. But let's check that out right now, because CLG, with those back-to-back wins, putting a ton of points up on the board. But Mike and Ike have actually jumped up in a tie for second place with Top Gun now. And Top Gun had a really good game. Weren't able to get into that top 3, but we checked in with them just before the action really got going in that final circle. They had 10 KP. They were having a really solid performance. Chaotic was looking really good, had 5 kills of his own. So well played there from Top Gun. And while, you know, we talked about SSG off the top, they had the win in game 1. They looked really good to start off. They definitely cooled off big time in those next couple of games, because they only got 4 points combined between games 2 and 3. So we'll have to see if the swap over to Stormpoint can reignite that squad, because they didn't really get it done the rest of that first half. Meanwhile, CLG taking care of business, back-to-back wins, and they're in a very good spot heading into our second half. We're going to head to a quick break right now. Don't go far, though. We've got plenty more Series E action. When we come back, T-Squared and Wynut will have it all for you in just a few.
Welcome back, everybody, to Series Z. It's week 7 here in season 6. It's our pro night, 1 week before ALGS London playoffs. T-Squared and Tony bringing you the action. You just saw some great highlights there. That was MJ's point of view on Horizon, popping off over towards the Skyhook side. Dude's doing absolute work. But one team that was dominating last game, CLG. Tony, what do you think about that performance?
I mean, CLG, they literally continued exactly where they left off in that game number 2, absolutely killing it. Same thing for Top Gun and Mike and Ike. They sitting at plus 18 since game number 2. And then sadly, some player that didn't come out too well would be SSG and Razor. SSG only 4 points since that game number 1, and Razor with 0 points in game 3, despite them having an incredible game 2. So some winners and losers in that one. Hopefully going into Storm Point, we're going to see a lot of changes coming in, a lot of teams trying to climb up that leaderboard.
Yeah, and we'll find out which team compositions are going to be ran. Is CLG going to end up running with the Mad Maggie? Because you don't see a lot of Mad Maggie on Storm Point. I'm expecting a lot more Bangalore's. Still, Crypto will be very viable. Valkyrie, definitely someone that you're going to want, though, because the Valkyrie rotation is going to go absolutely nutty. There's a lot of playable area that is on Storm Point, so we're getting ready to go into the lobby here very shortly for game number 4. If we get an opportunity while the players are loading in, I would love to see the Mobile One leaderboard so we can see again where everybody ends up standing, because CLG should be able to skyrocket, but we don't have time for that one because we are getting into the game. Players are loading in. We should be on board with CLG. We'll find out the team compositions here. SSG is going with Bangalore and Bloodhounds, so there's that classic combo. We do see a Vantage being used by Team Cardinal too. And I'm just looking, I see a lot more Bangalores. We have Aegon using Bangalore. We also have a Gibby Caustic combination coming from one of our partner teams. So a very different feel here when we move forward for CLG too, especially. They changed 2 of the 3 legends.
Yeah, but CLG still rocking with that Caustic. I'm not mad at that whatsoever. They showed on World's Edge that Caustic is not only a really strong legend, but what makes them stronger is the less of them that there are on the map. The less Caustics that there are on the map, the stronger your Caustic gets. And with nobody running Caustic on World's Edge, teams were really in trouble and had a hard time fighting Counter Logic Gaming. If you don't Caustic up, you might have the same problem here on Storm Point.
Yes, I'm a firm believer in that overall as we take a look. Some really good loot right off the rip. R301 Purple Mag PK. Doesn't get any better from that. That's literally the ideal setup that you want. Purple barrel stabilizers there as well. The rich continue to get rich here as you have another double R301s and 2 massives inside over here. This is perfect loot for CLG off of the rip. They're going to be feeling good, but that is spot on, Tony. We used to be in a meta where almost every single team was running Caustic. 50% of the teams were running Valkyrie, Caustic, and Gibby in the finals about 6 months ago, and now things have changed where we're not really seeing any Caustics in the lobby as the fight takes place over towards the mill. This is DZ. Gold bag, not going to really do much unless you can live throughout all of this, so we'll see if Zero can get on over towards the roof, because that's the ideal situation. Typically, you don't play inside of the buildings here. You want to play on the roof, but you want to try to gather as much information after you loot. And the teams that get the bins in the middle typically have a huge armor advantage. It's going to be 6 figures. Getting drop Slayer, your kill leader, picking up all 3 of those for Aegon.
DZ currently sitting in 5th place right now, but just 2 points behind our 2nd place team over towards the mills. A really fun place to fight over here, and they might be forced to fight. And the team literally right in front of them, the steer already trying to get as much intel as possible. DZ starting to close the distance on their opponent. We know there's one player that's holding off that door right there, but it's about to get blown right off. Love this play coming out of DZ. Hold on to that high ground, just waiting for the right opportunity.
Everyone's going to take to the skies. That's where you need to hit your shots. Psycho with a nice, absolute psycho play onto Zero. They haven't really put any damage down. A couple wingman shots are going to land for Sharky. He gets the armor swap. Big plays. Is that going to be enough to be able to win this one? Sung with some great tracking there. Now it's only Jen Burton alive for DZ. They take the fight directly to the back-to-back land champions, and they're able to win this one. And that's what we talk about with Slept On. They are one of these teams with a super high skill ceiling. Just a matter of can they pull it off. They are a little bit inconsistent at times, but when they are on, they could do things like that, not even getting knocked and being able to reset almost immediately as we switch on over to Team Mike and Ike.
Yeah, can we talk about the fact that Slept On are now 4-0 off their 50-50s right off the rip, which is actually crazy, despite the fact that they're only able to put 18 points on the board. They're winning these gunfights off the rip, but maybe they need a little bit more macro sense to get towards these end games and to start closing out these games. But like you said, tons of potential, just like Mike and Nike already finding their first knock onto Intel here, and just like that, Intel getting wiped off the face of Storm Point. Looks like we're already down to 17 squads.
Barometer zone, as you can see, the pulls happening towards the central of the map, and Team Tripods with their rotation out of Cenote Cave going to be feeling good about that one. Shipfall not that far from where Team Razor has to go over towards Barometer either. You can see Pupsky and his team starting to make the rotation on the far east side. That's going to be SSG. Winners of game number 1 in style. You can see Designful and the Top Gun squad over towards the northeast side. They're going to be taking their sweet time. This is their style of play. They land in Thermal Station on World's Edge. They're very used to just looting up, getting everything that they need. Is Leave No Witnesses gets dropped by Vermoth, and that's kind of surprising considering how good LNW has been playing today.
Leave No Witness is going to take it out here in 17th place. Trying to find their way into the top 5 going to be very hard when you start off Storm Point like that. When you take a look at discount Preds, not the 2x on the wingman. Come on, guys. It's not right. I'm sorry. It's an H-cog or nothing. Don't put the 2x on the wingman. Don't do it. Just don't.
I'd rather eat pineapple on pizza than have the 2x on a wingman, Tony.
Hey, you know what? That's another discussion. I'll take a little pineapple on pizza. I'm just saying. We'll talk about that another time.
I'll take pizza anytime. Let's be serious. You know what we need to do is we need to make a pizza with Tyson chicken nuggets on top, like a buffalo chicken pizza using Tyson ingredients.
Little ranch,
little ranch, a little bit of bacon on top of that. Woof, chat. I know you guys are hungry now.
We're on board now with Tyson. 2 players currently sitting with white shields, but I will say Storm Point tends to play a little bit slower than World's Edge, so they have a little bit of time to loot up, find themselves some better shields, get as much info as possible. You did talk about that Bangalore being strong on World's Edge, but really finding a home here on Storm Point. There's so many times that you can get yourself some great rotations, whether you smoke out your opponent, smoke out an area in front of you, and just get a nice little rotation that you really didn't deserve. Meanwhile, Aegon trying to get value out of their Bangalore ult, but the Seer Q is already going to reveal their positioning here.
Low-key, Tony, I thought he was out of that queue. He ran outside of the zone of the queue and it ends up still hitting him. That's some big information that they were able to gather there. 30-30 shots, not able to connect. These guys are moving all over the place. If you ever needed aim trading, just hire them to run around the map.
Aegon doing a great job of keeping this team at bay here. The 30-30 shots connecting. And the mill belongs to Aegon right now. No team's going to get anywhere near them. Slayer watching that doorway as well. They have the shields to work with. And they're really kind of griefing this team. They're like, hey, look, you want to come anywhere near us, you're going to get shot. You're going to get put down immediately. This team forced to rotate out. It's going to be SZN trying to find a new entrance into the zone.
Not too stoked that my cooking skills are in question over here by our man Heroics. We'll let that one slide. He obviously doesn't know about Chef Boyo Squared. We'll save that conversation for another time as we have SZN on your screen. And Hakulos and Clan, they did not start the day off on the right foot. They got dropped by Tripods immediately, charge rifled right in the back before they could even pick up a weapon. I would have been on tilt. I'm glad to see that they have kind of gathered themselves and refocused over here. It's been a tough day so far. Number 16 with 9 points, but very talented players. I'm sure they can bounce back with one solid game.
Hey, it's still early here on Storm Point, so I mean, there's still time to tilt. Azurus, they're not going to be tilting here, but they are taking some shots. Love this angle that's created by our Bloodhound player here. But as I say that, it looks like God of Gaudy ends up being taken down. That is not good for Azurus. Watch out for watch out for that Arc Star. It's literally sitting on it for quite some time. Forced to take cover here. Razor sitting right above them, able to rain down shots. And with that Mad Mag, at any point in time, they can rush them and clear them out. Razor favorable within this position here. Barometer, so hard to defend most of the time, but Razor doing a very good job of watching all angles and keeping multiple teams at bay.
Yeah, Razor's been on top of their game. I think this is the best we've seen Razor perform as a team, and individually they're playing the right way. You can see the way that they're moving, the aggressiveness. Something has clicked for them, and they're in form at the right time. These have been very talented players. It just doesn't seem like they've been playing confident enough. And right now, I'm seeing a lot of confidence. The way that they're running around, the way that they're owning the map, making sure they're watching all of the angles, the way that they were able to play as a duo when they were playing as three over towards the thermal station ending. A lot of good things to say about this Razor squad. Hopefully they can keep it up here on Storm Point now that we've switched over. We're in game 4 of 6. You can see on your screen in the top left. Haven't crowned a winner on Storm Point quite yet. We'll see if DZ, winners of last week, who had a strong performance on Storm Point, if they can get back into this one and recover from their World's Edge performance. The best placing they had on World's Edge so far was 3rd place, but they were dropped over towards the mill, so it's been a tough go for them. And things just slowing down temporarily over here towards the barometer side.
They say that failure to plan is planning to fail, and kind of like you alluded to, Razor have just been coming in with a game plan and just executing so well. Whether it's as a trio, as a duo, somehow Razor seem to find a way. Mike and I can have to try to find a way as a duo right now, because looks like Let Me Cook once again getting cooked, leaving MJ and Wizardcoin as a duo. I'm not sure if they'll be able to play towards that banner. I'm assuming it's being camped right now, and eventually they make too much noise and other teams are going to just be invited to come right along with, especially CLG. We talk about how fundamentally sound they are. They use that fundamentals to really hold you out, to put you in these awkward positions. I can't see a world where Mike and I are going to be able to 2v3.
Not against CLG, the way that they have been popping off. You could see 54 points after 3 games on Stormpoint. If we were in match point format, they'd already be there looking for the dub to close it out. You would have the barrel on top of Silence Box there, and that's who Lemmy Cookman is, and he's pinging it. Little does he know that the entire team is there. And you know what good teams do, Tony, is they wait to the very last second. They camp that one. They time it out the entire time. You think that they're gone, but they're still in the area. Plus, you got to dodge all of these caustic traps.
Oh, it's Crafty. and they thought they might have gotten a free rotation and maybe to grab it. I don't know if they saw the caustic gas, but once you see the crafter go off, you know that team's going nowhere. So Wizardcoin pops a shot with the charge rifle. They're going to back down. Is this a double Prowler? Or actually a double down by Aegon, because Prowler or not, that player hits the black screen here. At least forced by himself, trying to force himself in, gets himself a knock. My gosh, beautifully played by Force, but eventually SSG using their numbers to come across Aegon, come out on top, and just like that, we're down to 15 squads.
And little do you know, they had a Bloodhound as well, so all of that smoke doesn't really matter. They wanted the smoke too, as you can see. SSG picking up some kills. Nice job by Force trying to stay alive. Chaotic ends up getting a knock there onto Wizardcoin, and Mike and Ike is on the run as MJ is going to try to slide down. Does a great job of escaping, but it's going to be a 3-man send. Everybody on the hunt for the final player of Team Mike and Ike.
No player left behind. I guess that means teammates and enemies as well. Top Gun making sure they secured that kill, but now round 3 hill starts to hurt a little bit hard. You have to start thinking about your decision. Looks like Top Gun might be getting out of that as quickly as possible, and eventually Wizardcoin does end up getting taken down. MJ being left as a solo player here for our number 2 team so far, and Mike and Ike sitting with 29 points. CLG far ahead of them with 53 points so far after just 3 games.
Yeah, and you can see MJ popping this medkit at the exact time. These pro players are so good at that. If you're curious on when to pop your medkit in zone number 2, just look at your shields. Each shield represents 25 HP. When you have 25 HP left on your shield, that's when you use the med kit. It'll be perfect timing for you to maximize your med kits overall. And it looked like he had a couple syringes left, so most likely going to try to go and get that banner to see what he can do. There goes the Wrecking Ball inside of the building. That thing's going to be bouncing all over the place. Riot Drill connecting through the wall as well. Great moves here for Vermouth, who ended up taking down Leave No Witnesses a little bit earlier, but I don't think that ball hit as hard as they wanted to. Nades over towards the door. Everybody else going to heal as they go for the bait and switch. We have the player outlines and the shields there. These players don't have that information. They do have a seer, though, if they want to go through and hit a Q and stop that res. The push coming in from the rest of the players. Frank the Tank's going to get dropped. Ping is going down as well. Knockdown shield's not going to be useful as the discount Preds end up getting dropped. Methodical push coming in for Vermouth, but now they are stuck inside of the building, and Asuras is starting to push them.
I think it was a patient play by Vermont, but I was surprised they didn't try to catch multiple angles going into this building. They all try to funnel in through one door. We're going to see Asuras probably try to come in from the low ground, coming from the side, try to get multiple angles on them. This is the way you want to collapse on a team that's hiding towards a building. Asuras pushing them out, but haven't found any knocks quite yet. Forced to heal up, a little bit of a regain, a little bit of a reset for both of these teams. Who will come out on top? It's Vermont versus Asuras at the moment.
Nice reset from Vermouth, and this is what we talked about with Seer. Once you start kind of huddling inside of these buildings, it makes it very difficult to try to survive. The digi threat, the smoke happening for God of Gotti. He's going to take on over towards the high ground. I like this play, but he's going to be a little bit away from his teammates. It's going to be a nice knock there, but no, it's not a knock. The shields ends up coming through, and now it goes through, but it costs him a little bit of his HP. He has the charged up, turbocharged devotion, and that should be putting in some serious work. Smoke. Rez, Vermouth eliminated, armor swap on the ground. Pubsky, the great teammate. You love to see that one. Imagine if you were playing ranked and one of those teammates would ever do that for you, Tony.
Never. Let me tell you, man, when I'm solo queuing, my teammates, I don't know what they're doing. Ain't no game plan. It's full send, die, and then complain afterwards. It's the greatest strategy in Apex. 13 squads at the moment on board now with SSG. SSG had a phenomenal game number one, 24 points. They literally had more than double the second place team. Since then, only were able to put 4 points on the board throughout 2 games, but I wonder how that's going to change here on Storm Point. Do they feel a lot more comfortable here on this map, and can they once again climb the leaderboard that they were at once on top of?
Shots happening for Zenile. It does connect on a couple of them. The scout, very useful here on Storm Point. You can see definitely need a wide variety in terms of your range, and that's exactly what Top Gun and Designful has. He has the longbow for the long range. 3x going to be very strong in these situations. Flatline for the medium to close range. He's going to end up electing to grapple back on over towards the rock, separate from his teammates as the Bangalore ult. It does land, but it doesn't look like it's going to do much. Chaotic takes a little bit of damage, but he's basically baiting these players directly towards them, so Designful could land his shots, but he's not able to connect on the shots, which means Chaotic is going to be left in a 3-on-1 situation. He realizes that he's going to back off, take on over towards the sky, and that's what he was looking for everybody to get inside of that controller range, inside of the black hole range. But it's Albarelli coming through from Team SSG. That's what the Chaotic special is, the R301, the 2 to 4x. But look at the amount of HP that SSG has. 2 players down, 1 player remaining. And a very clean team fight onto Team Top Gun. Albarelli understanding the situation. He just needs to back off, wait for his next smoke. He does get hit from the back. That's going to be Saucer with the 30-30. Meanwhile, we're going to switch on over to Slepton to see what happens with them as they start to push up and go for this third party. Riot Drill coming in from Song. We've seen him play a handful of different legends so far. The Wrecking Ball going to go directly in between the box and the rock as the grab lift comes down. Another player directly in front of them. That should still be SSG, and I think that's Frex on the Bloodhound. It is. We saw him inside of the building earlier putting in work against Team Aegon, so the third party successful for Team Slepton.
Slepton coming in with the third party with the quickness. Love that play by them. Also want to rewind a little bit back to Albarelli doing max damage, able to take on 2 players seemingly by himself, and was going in for the third and ends up being hawked from across the map with a 4th or 5th party. Slepton finally able to kind of clear the air here, but it was great plays by Top Gun who were playing well. They're just great plays all around. The problem is there's just not much real estate here going into round 4, now going into round 5 zone. SSG ended up getting eliminated as well.
You know your loot is lit when you're turning down a gold light mag because everything else in your inventory is better, or you already have one, as we see what MJ is up to. Remember, he skedaddled away from his teammates to allow himself to try to rack up some more points, allows a team to skyward dive directly in front of him. I'm quite sure that he didn't realize there was 3 players directly below him, and that is Team Razor making their late rotation on over towards the bridge area. Borton taking a lot of damage. 1 player's already knocked underneath the bridge. That's going to be SCN as PD Breezy gets knocked with the PK as well. Smoke all over the place. It's going to be the Car R301 combo for Hakulo, and Hakulo's doing whatever he can to stay alive underneath that bridge as Asuras gets dropped in your kill feed. Bubble goes down for Shy. 3 different fights taking place. I'm not sure how our observers are even keeping track of all this action as Tyson gets eliminated. And there is that PK from Shy that we saw him pick up in the very beginning of the game. He still has the R301 as well, but there it is. CLG finally ends up getting stopped, and it's Tripods. Silent but deadly, Tony. They have not been seen on the screen in game number 4 at all, and they finally pop off.
The #1 team in CLG end up going down. Razor follow up after that, and there's Tripods that had an amazing game #1 performance, have been kind of quiet since, like you said, silent but deadly, coming here onto Stormpoint, a map that they're very comfortable on, looking so much better, already made it into a top 4 squads at the moment. 11 players are actually on the map. XSI trying to make their way in, get a little bit of loot here. There's a team literally right above. I believe that's actually Slept On. And we talked about how strong Slept On have played off to the 50-50. They're about 4-0 on their 50-50 gunfights. And we said it was only a matter of time before they made it toward the end game. They found their home here on Stormpoint, and Slept On are looking much better here in game number 4.
Look at that strafe from Zerbo. Almost no shields as he put in about 150 damage onto Zednim. Doesn't matter though, and you can see why the Prowler is being used so much, Tony. Another Prowler in the hands of Deeds, because when it comes to going up the lift or shooting Horizons up the lift, or it doesn't even have to be Horizon, any Legend going up that grav lift, it puts in work. That burst damage really compensates for any bullets that may not connect with the regular automatic weapons. Tripod's going to full send this one around the corner. There goes the ultimate coming in from Gent. Black Hole is going to connect on the Hakulo. The R301 being put to work as well. And he's playing away from where the rest of the enemy players are, but it's just not enough. Tripods ends up losing out on one as now XSI makes their move, and it looks like deja vu over here is one grav lift after another, one black hole after another. Smoke being utilized as well. Clean hiding throughout all of that. They're trying to secure at least second place for the Tripods. Clean does finally get dropped by the native Nick Merckx, but the damage has already been done. They've already lost out on one player. 2v3 XSI versus Tripods for the win here in game number 4.
Tripods, that was the fight they were looking to take, but taking a lot more damage than expected. And look at these shots coming out of the gold R301 with cracks like that. You gotta push, baby, push. XSI are starting to push up. They're starting to 3v1, and they're gonna end it real quick. XSI taking our first game here on Stormpoint.
What a job by XSI, but also another great job from Klein to try to stay alive, and a little bit of a forced maneuver there from Tripods. It wasn't as clean of a fight as they wanted because Klein ended up staying alive for so long. They recognized the situation. I think that was a 3v2 over towards the rock. They were hoping they could clear that duo out, get the armor swaps, end up resetting. I like the thought process. Everybody doing the right thing throughout all of that. XSI had eyes on Tripods the entire time. Gent gets taken out across the map on top of that rock, but it's the the gold R301, man. That thing just doesn't have any recoil. You can see the perfect recoil control happening too for XSI, and Saucer with the damage, Impulse with the damage as well. That's going to be a nice 20-point game for XSI. Bump them up on the Mobile One leaderboard.
I feel like we've seen such a difference in performance out of multiple squads coming into Stormpoint as opposed to World's Edge. Like XSI coming out with their first win. Obviously, they looked very comfortable. You had Tripods who made it into the top 2. It's a known fact that Stormpoint was the first map that Nick Merckx played in ranked when he first got introduced here to Apex. So he feels very comfortable as well. And then there's multiple squads Slept On, and we talked about that with 3-0 and 50-50 gunfights, but we never saw them towards an end game. I think they got knocked out at maybe 4th or 5th place. So many teams really starting to come into their own here on Stormpoint, and hey, this tournament's not over yet. We still have 2 games, and there's plenty of time to move some things around.
And this is where teams will start making moves because they'll see the Mobile One leaderboard and realize how many points that they need to get. But 2 more games remain. Let's toss this one on over to Yeso.
Nice win there from XSI coming in to clean things up and grab the victory here in our first game on Stormpoint. But I really want to dig into that last fight a little bit and talk about how I honestly think Tripods kind of threw that game. You heard T-Squared and Why Not talking about it. They're coming in with the numbers advantage, trying to clean up season and hope for a reset there for the fight against XSI that they know is coming, right? It's a third party. You know it's going to come quickly. But if you notice when you were watching that play, they had quite a buffer. It took a little while for XSI to get over and into the action in that fight. which is a missed opportunity for Tripods because they go in, they've got numbers advantage as well as the Horizon Ultimate up against just 2 players here from Season hiding behind this rock, and they just cannot clean up the fight. They get the Horizon Ultimate up on top of Mr. Hakulo and are able to finish him off, but the fact that they let Klein escape and spend so much time trying to hunt down this one player, XSI has so much more time to close that gap because, again, it took them a little while to get in, and Tripods had this opportunity. So really felt like, to me, they faltered on surrounding Season there and cleaning up that fight, because if they easily, which they should have, clean up Mr. Hakulo and Klein there, that should be a fairly quick reset and a fairly straightforward 3v3 fight. That all of a sudden becomes a 50-50, and then it's just, do you have the gun skill? Can you make that right shot to win the game? And I think Tripods had the perfect opportunity to do so, because there was plenty of breathing room for them to take that fight clean and reset well before XSI arrived. And unfortunately, they weren't able to do so. So a bit of a bummer there, because I felt like Tripods had the perfect opportunity to avoid the third party they knew would come and have just a clean, straight up 3v3. So we'll have to see if they can fix that in the next 2 games. Let's jump, though, into our Mobile 1 high performance moment here for game number 4. And it's going to be a fight here near the end game, and it's XSI fighting near the bridge. Jumping up top, great shots here with the Prowler. We've seen so many players with this weapon in their hand as of late, and in the end it comes down to a couple of wingman shots here at the end. Took maybe a little bit longer than Zenden was hoping for this fight to take to clean up these players, but up on the grav lift with that Prowler, good damage on the red Evo early. Just those wingman shots can be a little difficult, and the fancy feet there from Serbo keeping them alive, but in the end they're able to pick up the kill, and then they end up picking the win in the end. Let's take a look at our Mobile 1 leaderboard and see where XSI has moved on that front. Of course, CLG with their back-to-back wins still holding on to that top placing, but now SSG coming back alive here with an all right performance here in game number 4, holding on to that second place. Mike and Ike right behind them, and now XSI up in sole possession of 4th place there with that victory. Very important game for them. They're really going to need to keep it rolling here into games 5 and 6 if they want to try and chase down CLG. 4 games done now, and just 2 more to go, folks. We're heading to a break right now. Do want to remind you, if you're looking to pick up products from any of our partners here at Series Z, you can over at walmart.com/esports arena. Anything you need from our friends at Intel, Razer, Vitamin Water, and more, you can grab over there. And of course, supporting them supports us and the players here at Series Z. So again, walmart.com/esports arena. Make sure to check that out today. When we come back from the break, T squared and why not get ready for game number 5.
Tyson boneless buffalo bites have that tasty kick of flavor, so they're perfect for any get-together. If there are any left when your guests arrive. Tyson Anytizers Chicken. More kicks of flavor, more smiling snackers, more to love. Tyson.
Welcome back, everybody, to Series Z. 4 games down, 2 remaining. They're both on Storm Point. We've seen a handful of different compositions, but one thing's for sure, these players are ready to play and compete. T-Squared, and why not bring you the action? What's your overall kind of vibe for today, Tony, in terms of what you're seeing from these guys?
My overall vibe is that CLG and SSG are obviously the real deal. Like we said, Mike and Ike and Tripods and a couple other teams are really keeping our ones to keep our eyes on. It's kind of everything that we expected going in, but now with just 2 games remaining, I'm expecting to toss the score sheet away. At this point, it's about who wants it more. We can see some huge swings here in the leaderboard.
Yeah, Tony out here giving free paper cuts. Look out if you're standing behind him when he's casting. CLG, they had a majority of those points just on World's Edge, which is pretty interesting that they didn't pick up really any points on Storm Point in that previous game. That's how darn good they were in the first 3 of our day today. And there's still a decent amount of Apex left to go. Yes, we're past that halfway point, but it's still anyone's game, and you can't really sit too comfortably on that podium if you are CLG. You definitely have to put up more than 57 points in order to take this thing. Who do you think, Tony, is going to be the teams? Because you look at that middle of the pack from 36 down to 31, 5 points separate, 2nd through 7th. Who do you think is going to step it up and try to contest for that first place?
I think it's XSI. XSI were big winners in game number 4. Like I'm talking about literally a 20-point swing. Where a team that was sitting in 11th place with 13 points and to come out with 33 in 4th place after just 1 game. Just put it this way: if they get 1 more game like that, that should be enough to put them in 2nd place. Like if they finish off the day like that, they win the tournament. Everybody should be looking out for XSI because they're the real deal, especially here on Storm Point.
You know, I'm going to go out on a limb here, and I'm going Slept On. I think that Slept On is a team to look out for because their team fight wins, and the teams that they were doing it against, they're not easy teams to defeat, and they were doing it pretty cleanly. So keep your eyes on Slept On. They've been playing a heck of a day. Tripods as well. A lot of good teams here. You got to give credit to Mike and Ike, though. Your team to watch for the partner teams beforehand. They're in 3rd place with 34 points overall, directly behind SSG, who's had themselves one heck of a day. Here we go. Game number 4 on boards with our winners. And Tony's pick to potentially push for first place. This is going to be XSI.
The only win XSI have had on this map, in this tournament, I should say, was on this very map, and we still have 2 more games. XSI, if they can replicate that same performance that we saw in game number 4, they really can climb the leaderboard, but it's easier said than done, especially when you have DZ that are on the next POI in a 50-50, and I believe it's against Slept On, your team to watch out for. So can Slept On go 2-0 against DZ, and there they are. I guessed it was them. It was game number 4 where they were able to beat out DZ. Hopefully they can do it again.
Is there 2 more teams here? Are there 3 teams over towards the mill? What is going on? DZ has to be frustrated with this situation. I mean, unless there's only 2 teams here, and then I'm not quite sure what's going on. 3 teams landing in a POI just seems a little bit ridiculous, but then again, this is one of the best POIs. So fast to loot. You're guaranteed blue or purple shields, at least 2 of them in the middle. And you can see DZ is on the run right now. So there are a handful of players over here. DZ basically getting grief. They're stuck in between both of those teams.
And keep in mind, XSI are the next POI right over. You know, they're 1 charge rifle shot away from getting involved, or a couple feet away from really hard pushing this fight. DZ find himself in trouble. Zero able to crawl his way towards the door, and the res is coming in. Will it be enough to get DZ back in the fight?
Saving onto the smokes. Discipline coming in from Sharky. I was expecting a double swing over towards the door. Jen Burton's going to back off, realizing the situation. Zerbo with the R301 putting in some serious work. The EVA 8 being used by Psycho. Slept On now finds Jen Burton. Not able to kick that door down, but a methodical play coming in from Slept On. Not the best riot drill we've ever seen in our lives, but they still have the advantage in this team fight.
That's 2 crazy riot drills that we've seen out of Sung so far. Still trying to get used to the character, I can tell, but still looking good. Is Slept On. Zerbo taking right to the skies, utilize that movement to catch an angle. The Bangalore smoke should provide temporary cover, but excellent shots by Zerbo, and they're not giving up. Slept On are going to chase them down. They are on the hunt, and the Mad Maggie balls coming in. That'll provide the extra speed boost needed. We got a little bit of damage. Actually, that was towards a Prowler, but Slept On Still on their tail. That one-shot player is going down. That's going to be Sharky of DZ.
Sharky's going to end up just backing out of this one, and I would too. Frustrating situation there, being caught in between multiple teams. As slept on for the second time ends up taking down DZ, and that makes them 5-0 on their 50-50s, if I'm not mistaken. Tony, that's a stat you brought up earlier.
Yeah, it's a crazy. I didn't think we saw the game number 1, but I'm pretty sure they won that one too. It's insane what Slept On have been able to do over the first few games. And we talked about it back on World's Edge. They didn't quite find their way into the winner's circle, into the end games of some of these maps. But on Storm Point, we saw them actually finally make it into a top 5, and hopefully they can replicate that here. Cardinal. 3 players on console. I'm a Cardinal fan. I'm saying, you PC guys, I'm sick of you. I'm sick of all of you with PC elitists. It's about console. Give me Cardinal all day. They're taking the tournament.
Woo, look at those shots from Flinzar. Through the fence as well. There goes the ultimate happening on top of Team Intel, but give credit where credit's due. Those wingman shots were extremely sexy. They're going back for the same spot, taking the same angle. Looks like they've used this one before. Sear scan happening through the wall. They're gonna have to figure out how they could get over this wall, but they don't even need to. Discount Preds eliminated. It's gonna be a skyward dive as well. They are getting out of there. Watch out for the tree. They're gonna be a-okay on the rotation. I'm curious if they're gonna just circle back around and gather the loot. Nope, they're going towards the zone. Intel playing very disciplined Apex as we switch on over to Aegon by AOC. They have one team on the run, and that's gonna be SZN. All 3 players eliminated, 2 teams back to back.
Quick and decisive by Intel, and you saw how quickly they also got into that skyward dive. The comms are on point for Intel as they make it out. We're going to hop on board right back with them as well. 18 squads on the map. Intel might have found them into another fight here and onto the low ground. Is it going to be an advantageous position for them? Luckily, they do have the Watson to fence up a little bit here, but it's really tough fight on the low ground, especially in this area.
Jet waiting for his charges to come back in and running into some Watson problems over here, but this isn't where they want to set up, so it's actually good that he didn't use his last charge. They're going to go and take another building that they feel is going to be a little bit safer as we see another team inside of the zone. This is going to be Vermouth. Leave no witnesses. They're on the run. Beast of the Hunt has been popped. I love watching this team play so far. This is what Series E is all about, making your name known and creating havoc inside of these pro lobbies. A little bit of Mission Impossible action as Joe Max is going to be crouching inside of the Seer ult, trying to find his way out. I swear, every time I'm in the Seer ult crouching, everyone still finds me. I don't know if I'm good at crouching.
You gotta crouch better, man. You ain't much of a camper, though. You need some kind of explosive and a sniper rifle. You just fly at people as leave no witnesses. Taking height immediately. Uh-oh. They're looking to cause some havoc. The black hole goes in. That's going to suck the defense right in, and leave no witnesses are going to eat off of it, catching multiple different angles on this building, even in a Bangalore smoke. No aim assist through that. Leave no witnesses. Once again, will leave no witnesses here. Couple with PK shots, but luckily his teammates have his back. Purple Dragon end up going down. 47 players on the map.
We talked about this earlier, Tony. The ability to infiltrate buildings for Horizon is crucial. That black hole through the wall, the enemy Seer was not expecting that, and you could see the lined up reticle for Joe Max, something to pay attention to. He knew exactly what was going to happen as soon as he threw that black hole down. No nade into the black hole, keeping his reticle directly where the player was going to be pulled, and makes it an easy 2 versus 3 for his team to push in. The smokes go down, the digi threats in use. While Reditricky's shots didn't connect as he was hoping for, the damage had already been done. They've done way more than enough to be able to execute on that team fight win. Really heads up play from Leave No Witnesses, and they continue to improve on their score. I mean, they're sitting in 13th place. It feels like they've played better than what the scoreline says.
Leave No Witnesses playing well. Even have a charge rifle to go along with this, so they're going to have some real fun. And Tripods finding themselves in the same spot that our previous team, I think it was Leave No Witnesses, found themselves in. They rotated out of this as quickly as possible. I wonder if Tripods are going to end up doing the same, or do they feel comfortable holding onto the low ground? We're seeing the zone pulling far away from Antenna, even a little bit away from Barometer. This is going to be an interesting zone. A lot of open field to play with. Those Bangalores are really going to have fun.
Yeah, Team Intel is on an all-bird diet. They are goosing right now, so this is really good for them to get the zone to pull over here so they can be on a breadstick diet after this one because it has not gone their way. Team Razor is fairly close to them. And you can see a couple of teams stacked over towards that area. They should be slowing things down. All right, they got 2 points on the board, courtesy of our boy Flinzar, and that just goes to show you how tough this lobby is. These 3 players are absolutely ridiculous. Sometimes things just don't go your way. You could turn it around in a blink of an eye, and that's what Intel is hoping to do here as they pick a priority position.
Minute 33 seconds to round 2 zones going to be closing in, and as of right now, everyone's showing respect for each other here in the lobby. This game has moved at kind of a snail's pace right now, but it really shows the amount of respect that everybody has for each other. Nobody's just aping, putting themselves into bad position because they know that one false move can ruin your game and maybe even ruin your tournament. Intel currently sitting in last place right now. They really need to make something happen. Couple of kills to their name so far, trying to make it towards an end game, let the game really come to them. I love their positioning here relative to the circle, sitting toward that back end. You really don't have to worry about what's in front of you, but did I just see a Seer Q come in? Are Intel going to be pushed?
Well, they're just trying to gather information to see, maybe they have weaker shields. Maybe they end up just finding how many players are on this team. If you don't use it, you lose it, Tony. That's what I heard in a movie one day. But I would like Jet to just pick a fence spot already. You know what I'm saying? It's like when I'm laying in bed with my dog and he doesn't get comfortable and he's just doing circles all over the place and I'm trying to sleep, It's one of those things. Come on. Come on, Intel. Get it together with the fences.
Intel, are they trying to figure out what they're doing with their fences? So far, again, I got to point out, I love their positioning here. I don't know if they're going to be able to scan that beacon that's nearby, but the fact that they have their backs against the circle, they're sitting toward the backside, it's going to be hard, damn near impossible for anybody to push Intel without being spotted. We do have a team over towards their north side that they have to worry about. They have their eyes hawked on them, and now XSI, the winner of game number 4, they might be getting into some action as well. They have a team over toward their south. They have a team literally right under them. The wingman shot's going to connect. 69, nice. Out of our horizon, XSI holding on to the high ground, and their shots are starting to connect as well.
Really nice wingman shots, but not able to get the knock as he was hoping for. No way you end up dropping in this type of situation. And if you're going to take a fight, it has to be extremely fast and clean. XSI winners of the previous game. Your pick, Tony, to really pop off over here. And this is, again, the value of the Bangalore when you need to make some rotations over here. You just cut off the angles with the smoke. Also does a little bit of damage. 10 damage there onto Zeddim. The Rolling Thunder is going to be landing over towards the high ground, too. So they're going to have to really back off. And it makes you wonder, what's this team's plan? Are they going to start pushing forward because of this? Or are they just trying to evacuate the premises? And while all of that was happening, all of that visual clutter allows them to make the rotation on over towards those yellow tubes. Zeddim has no idea that they're not there. They've moved away from that area.
And that's exactly what Bangalore is good at. Like you said, it's the smoke that comes in that blocks off that line of sight. On top of that, the Rolling Thunder, it creates such a distraction and visual clutter, like you mentioned, where you get a seemingly free rotation. XSI are still chasing Ghost right now. Like, where did they go? They must be literally right under them as they already rotated out. 15 squads remaining here. Looks like XSI realized that team is already out, so they're going to try to catch a new angle on the team that's still over toward their southeast side. A couple warning shots being fired off by this wingman, but once those start to connect, they'll really start to grief, and XSI are very close to claiming real estate here in the circle.
And this Bangalore team on the opposite side of them is doing a great job of dodging and weaving where their potential threats would be, and they may have moved up because there's a good head glitch right there on top of the ramp. XSI aware of that, Zeddim says, hey, we got to watch this area. Don't let these guys get over here. And that wingman will hit. He's got the skull piercer on it. He's got the purple mag. If we can connect on those shots like he did on the players that were located below them, he's going to be able to put in some serious work, sharing the batteries with his teammates because he already had 5 total. Now he has 4. But they've been just waiting for an opportunity of a team to push them. Saucer has to keep his head on a swivel. They cannot get too focused on one spot. We have the luxury of the player outline, so we can anticipate where everyone's coming. But you've mentioned this before, that Barometer is so difficult to go and lock down. There's so many spots where people could come up.
XSI always so comfortable playing the edge. Even back when Impulse was teaming with Fearless, they were just such a strong edge fighting team. Meanwhile, Aegon, able to get comfortable getting up close and personal. That's exactly what the Prowler is for. Aurealis was doing a great job of distracting over toward the low ground. I thought he was trying to find a different angle toward the top side, but Karma ends up losing so much health right there. Luckily has a bit of shields to work with. He's going to be able to get out of that situation and hopefully play some heals. But Aegon find himself in an awkward position. It's not a position that they can really defend too well. It's a position that a lot of other teams can get an angle on them, and they have a team literally right beside them. So Aegon will be forced to fight. It's only a matter of time.
They're on the run right now, and you can see Force has his scan if he wants to use it, but it's going to be the Smokes, and that's the team that was putting down Smokes the entire time. They find a little safe haven underneath the bridge, and this is what we're talking about with the playable areas on Stormpoint. You can find so much cover. A lot of times it doesn't end up being a building. It'll be a rock or some sort of, bamboo in the trees over towards the right-hand side. Respawn's done a great job with this map, and that's why it's used in competitive play. Now on board with Top Gun, Designful still on top of that Pathfinder. And speaking on top, it's Chaotic taking the high ground of the map. He tosses the black hole down, but doesn't look like that team is interested in fighting this one straight up. Takes a lot of damage towards the backhand side. Has to use a battery, and Pubsky gets answered right back. And now it's up to the rest of Top Gun to go and clean up what Chaotic started. And you can see now with 8 seconds left on his grapple, Designful has to decide what he wants to do. Does he make it back on over towards his teammates? He can't. There's another player behind him with a wingman. They're stuck in between two teams. This is Six Figures making their way. And they do have Top Gun in their sights. Again, the Chaotic Special in the air. Most likely with the R301. He still has not been dropped yet. Drops back down, gets back in the air. Finally, Top Gun was able to do some damage, but unfortunately for them, they do go out in 15th place. Great flank here from Team Six Figures.
It's been quite some time since we've seen Pathfinder in competitive play, but sadly won't see him anymore. It looks like Top Gun were knocked out in 15th place, and as of right now, a Valkyrie player getting knocked down as well. Asaurus able to equalize the situation, I think turning this fight into a bit of a 2v2. They're trying to smoke out and play the res onto your Bloodhound. Asaurus trying to get fully loaded, but it looks like there's multiple teams around him. Can Asaurus survive this onslaught?
The wingman shots going through for Asurus. Aegon by AOC eliminated. They're trying to get the knock on the player on the ground. Arcstar is able to connect just for a little bit of damage, but it's not enough to actually get the kill. Alberly ends up getting some kills on the Leave No Witnesses. Mike and I going to join on that one. All chaos breaking loose on zone number 4 as it starts to close here in 50 seconds. Horizon Lift on top of Horizon Lift. Scans on top of scans. Armor swap happening for Thales, and a great wingman shot onto Geometrics. God of God, he really starting to heat up here. 800 damage, and Asurus now should be able to clean up this fight with enough time to hit the rotation as Pubsky gets rezzed.
Asurus probably should have died multiple times over, but the teamwork and the individual skill coming out, each and every one of those players have been able to keep them alive, but question now becomes for how long? Tyson somehow playing with their food for just a little bit, able to eliminate SSG, our number 2 team so far here in this tournament. That's a big kill by Tyson. CLG gonna send some money in their PayPal real quick. Tyson not done yet. The CRQ comes in. They know that this is their opportunity to push up. Beautiful shots by the Vault, and now that information just being absorbed, the nades are going to start to rain down. Tyson now trying to find multiple angles, pinching this team out. It's only a matter of time before they're able to eliminate them, but that zone is closing in quick.
Yes, Tankini takes a little bit of damage, but starts moving forward. The methodical Arc Stars are exactly what they needed to do to get out of that situation. While that was happening, Cruzen ends up pushing up the stairs, flanking around. Great teamwork, great bait and switching coming out as we switch on over to Asurus to find out if they're able to take this team down inside of the capsule building. Tripods getting back on the kill feed as they drop XSI. So both of our teams, Slepton and XSI, both eliminated back to back. We'll find a new team to pick very shortly. Maybe it's this team on your screen. Big damage coming in from Vorton. The Arcstar is able to connect. Washi pushes in with this gold armor. He has all 3 players directly below him. He needs to be a little bit careful. Big burst damage. 125 hasn't taken it quite yet. The Arcstar is phenomenal. Is he going to be able to clean these kills up? It's 6 figures going down. The riot drill through the ground. Borton again having to hit a battery here. They don't want to overextend. They understand that they need to be very careful, because if they do, the third party will end up going through. That's why they wait for the sear scan, excuse me. And what a great job by Washi there, Tony. Baiting and switching, going on over towards the high ground. The Arc Star was perfect. The timing, the confidence here from Team Razor is just on point. Now the collapse happens. It's going to be Stankini going down. One more shot, and that's all she wrote for Team Tyson. What a performance from Razor. They move up to 7th place with 34 points.
Yeah, you saw him take a little bit of damage from his own Arc Star for a bit, but he had to throw that Arc Star. There was so much value in all 3 of those players just ratting behind that wall. It was well played, a little bit slow on the collapse, but eventually it does come in, and just like that, we're down to 6 squads remaining. CLG on screen right now, a #1 team so far in the tournament, and by far, but the question is for how long, because that Maggie drill is getting max value as well. CLG don't have much real estate to play with whatsoever right now, and look at the rotation they have to make to get into the zone that's closing in less than 10 seconds.
It's going to be a tough rotation here for CLG. They're going to elect to go over towards the bottom side. There's no time for a skyward dive here. They just have to push out and... Oh, big Kraber shot coming through. God of God, he just not missing. CLG goes down. Team that was currently in first place being dropped by Osiris. What an entry frag there from God of God. He also has the gold helmet, so he's able to get these smokes and the rolling thunder up just a little bit faster. If they can make it to this wall, it's going to be a huge win condition for them. They do. You can see the teams on your screen. It's Razor on the opposite side. Tripods directly in front of Osiris as well. A lot of playable area still with such a small circle. Kraber in hand. It's a little bit too scoped in. Can't connect the shot onto Washi, but the wingman shots do hit, and you can see what the thought process is here, Tony. They're trying to avoid the Seer ultimate while laying down max damage.
Snipe down, you better watch out, because with quick scopes like this, God of God, he's coming for your spot on phase. My gosh. The man can't miss with the wingman. He's so confident, even, I'm sorry, with the Kraber, and he's so confident he has a wingman to go alongside with it. One false move and one missed shot could cost him a gunfight, but God of God, he is so confident in his ability to shoot. Asura is trying to take height here with the Horizon Q. Mine and Razor are now getting shredded from the skies. Eventually, our Bloodhound player does go down, but a quick res going to come in. Razor eventually get eliminated, bringing us down to our final 4. God of Gotti sitting as the kill leader, but now Intel, they're done playing games. They're ready to fight.
Intel needs to win this 2v3. Jet ends up backing off. They haven't gotten the res yet on the opposite side because Icy hits him with a nasty Q at the perfect time. But someone's got to stop this man on your screen. God of Gotti, it's Pubsky coming around with the bait and switch. Both players fairly weak. It still is a 2-on-2. It's going to be Jet there with the Prowler. Meanwhile, on the opposite side, Deeds gets a knock for Team Tripods. Both of these teams that were full 3 are now duking it out, and it's going to be Osiris with the big win. They got a little bit too overzealous going for Team Razor, and Vermoth was able to drop Team Tripods. Will they realize that Team Intel is still weak? It's going to be a 2-on-3, but they're fairly weak. Maxi coming in with the Wrecking Ball. It doesn't connect. Armor swaps potentially directly below where Team Intel is, and Intel went from 0 points before this game started to potentially winning this one and turning things around. Riot Drill through the wall. Flank coming in from Flinzar. Shotgun shots are going to connect with the PK from Maxi, but it's a 2-on-3. Can he pull this one off? Both players are fairly weak. If he can land it, it's going to be 1, but it's a flank coming in, and Team Intel takes game number 5.
Oh my gosh, Intel may have come out with the win on that one, but let's give a shout out to Vermoth. The Peacekeeper shots, the movement, the high ground, doing everything they can to stay alive as long as they can, but eventually it's a numbers battle. If you're caught in the 2v3, you are caught at a disadvantage. Intel coming out on top in that one.
And that's why you stay disciplined, you stay positive, and you play the game. You take it game by game, minute by minute, second by second. Great job from Intel again. 0 points before that game started. They could have been down and out. They could have been upset on themselves. We were taking our picks of who we thought was going to win that game and push over towards first place. Never would we have thought would it be Team Intel. Flinzar putting the squad on his back, almost 2k damage, 7 kills overall, and that is a big game. 22 points for Team Intel.
And So impressive, like you said, from 0 points to coming out with the win. 1900 damage. It's just incredible plays come out of Intel. That's going to really help them towards that cumulative leaderboard. And now, what happens to the rest of the leaderboard? Because XSI may have made it maybe to top 6, but didn't have the exact performance they were looking to have. I know CLG got knocked out a little bit earlier than expected. Not sure exactly what's happening with SSG and Mike and I. There's so many questions, and nobody's safe going into that game number 5, and certainly going into game 6.
Fortunately, Tony, we don't have to do the math. We just get to cast, and that's my favorite part, is avoiding the math. So let's toss this one on over to Yesu. I'm sure he'll have an updated Mobile One leaderboard for us very shortly.
Don't worry, T-Squared. I've been working on my multiplication tables. I think I'll have some scores for you momentarily, though. Big win from Intel. Kind of 0-to-hero performance there in game number 5 as they grab an impressive 22-point victory there on Storm Point. Now we get ready for the final game of the day. But I want to go back to a moment where it almost got all ripped away from them, and that's our Mobile One high-performance moment here. And it's a look at Vermouth trying to clutch up. We get a wonderful look here at Maxi, and right, they're down in numbers, but you see those health bars not very stockpiled here for the side of Intel, and it just opens up an opportunity here. They try to get a bit of a reset down low, and you see Maxi just putting on a clinic here with the PK. Flynn's are just able to get away, which is important because that's a one shot onto Icy. And another one shot here with the PK. So Maxi nearly clutching up with that shotgun in hand. And Intel lucky to get out of this one alive because they almost got it ripped out of their hands at the final moment by just some clutch shots here from Maxi and Team Vermouth. It was a hell of a finish here, and Flynn's are getting away. Very important because the dance around the knock shield was so good, but Flynn's are able to get there just in time to finish up. Hats off to Maxi there. Almost made something out of absolutely nothing. Let's take a look, though, at our Mobile One leaderboard here and see just how things shook out. Vermouth inside of that top 10 thanks to a solid performance there. Top Gun in there as well. But it's still CLG on top and SSG behind them. But it's a 20-point gap between CLG and Space Station and Tripods tied at second place. Meanwhile, Mike and Ike's consistency tonight holding strong. Same with Razor. Razor, a team that feel like they haven't really had any high highs tonight, but they're consistent and solid performance tonight has them in 6th place, 35 points. They really have not had any major lows, and they continue to put points on the board. I think they'd certainly love to have a really good game 6 and possibly jump up into that top 3. The opportunity is there, just 5 points behind 2nd place, but at the very least, Razor have looked solid here through 5 games, as well as Mike and Ike, and they both have a big opportunity here going into the final game. Hats off to Vermouth there, almost clutching it up, but it is Intel taking the win in Game 5. We'll have to see who takes the win, though, in the end, as we'll have Game 6 action for you on the other side of this break.
One more game remaining. It's been the CLG show so far, Series E, Week 7. It's our pro night, 1 week before ALGS London playoffs. T-Squared and Why Not bringing you the action. And we're asking the question before game number 5, which team would it be to win that game and really set the kind of stage for this next game? Intel coming out of nowhere from worst to first. Really impressive performance from them. What do you think it was, Tony? Was it positioning? Was it the teamwork? Was it the will to say, hey, let's get out of 20th place and make some moves?
I think it was the positioning and really confident fighting, and Intel clearly understand how to play zone, clearly understand how to, or I should say the edge zone, how to get into these favorable gunfights and come out on top. And it was well played by them. Even though they didn't have the best tournament so far, they showed in that game number 5 that they clearly are competent and they clearly know what they're doing. Huge win by Intel.
When I look at this Mobile One leaderboard, I have our spreadsheet over towards the side as we load up into game number 6. This is very close between 2nd and all the way down to 16th. I mean, 40 points all the way down to 20 points in 16th. But when you look at the top 10, 10th place is 32 points and 2nd is 40. So almost 1 point basically separating every single placement going down below, which is a really, really tight Mobile One leaderboard. So while CLG does sit up on the top with a 20-point lead over SSG and Tripods, it's not completely comfortable yet. If CLG gets taken out early, we do have some 50-50s taking place right off the rip between Slepton and DZ over towards the mill. So I'm looking forward as we jump on board with Intel off of the rip. We'll switch on over to that very shortly. But here we go, the final game of the night for our pro night before we send this one off, but it is time to get into this one and find out who's going to take first place. Will it be CLG, SSG, Tripods, Team Mike Nike is in there, XSI, Razors making their play. They're in 6th place overall. Slepton still sitting right in the middle of the pack. Top Gun after that, Vermoth, Asuris, DZ outside of the top 10 and 11th. They've been getting worked over towards the mill. Unfortunately, got griefed by 2 teams in the previous game. We had 3 teams over towards the mill. And all the teams picking their landing spots. I think I see like 20 teams landing in one spot, if I'm not mistaken. That could be a visual bug.
This can be the tightest race to the finish that we've seen here at Esports Arena. The only team that's somewhat comfortable right now is CLG with their 20-point lead, but another miraculous play by anyone can get them right back into the game. This is going to be an exciting game number 6, and Aegon already losing a member of their team turned into a banner. Immediately they were able to retrieve it, but it looks like Aegon are going to be forced to rotate out. This 50-50 gunfight not going in their favor.
CLG gets a couple extra points, so now they separate themselves a little bit further from the pack. They're the first team to pick up a team wipe onto 6 figures. We did see Oralis get dropped, but that wasn't the full entire squad. Aegon by AOC still alive here as Force trying to figure out exactly what they want to do. A little bit of controller drift coming in for Karma. They're going to send it on over towards the wall, waiting for that grab lift to come back up to make it over towards the zip line. Looks like they're just going to end up leaving their teammate and playing this one as a duo. We did see Razor earlier on World's Edge have a phenomenal game as just a duo, so it's completely possible, especially with the armor situation. Force is going to have to get an upgraded weapon. Keep in mind that Turns is taking a break right now. Looks like he hopped off and Karma coming in and filling. So they do have a sub as we take a look at that mini map to find out where the zone is going to be. It goes directly over towards where CLG is, Command Center and Stormcatcher. So I don't see CLG being outside of first place unless something absolutely crazy happens and multiple teams send it onto their building. They're in a perfect spot already.
Going to be an interesting rotation out of Top Guns, who are sitting right outside of Lightning Rod. They have the opportunity to play that armory and maybe take a sneaky route into the back end of the circle. They have a lot of different options there where teams like maybe like Tripods, for example, sitting inside in 2nd place right now. They want a big win. They're going to be playing edge definitively, trying to fight their way through the likes of like Barometer, which is not an easy run for them. Luckily, they're a great edge fighting team. They're comfortable in these fights. This is exactly the play style that that they want to play. Maybe, just maybe, Tripods come with the first win in a major tournament Apex that I've seen them in.
Seer Ultimate going to go down. Tyson on the prowl, trying to find out where these players are going to be located. Stankini a little separated from the team, but a lot of times that Seer ultimate will scare players away, and rightfully so. They're just trying to get the drop. Little do they know this is just a duo on the opposite side. It's Aegon by AOC. Razor popping off the kill feed. That's going to be Washi with the wingman, and now Razor is going to go and take the building and the rooftop as they start to push inside of these buildings. We've seen these buildings be very played out, where the team stuck inside typically ends up losing out. There's an opportunity for Borton to go and either kick this door, or he can elect to stay on the side, and that's exactly what Washi did. He goes over towards the window. One player blocks the door. King Drew had no idea what was coming.
Razor able to deal with King Drew with the quickness, and now one of the more consistent teams so far in this tournament are looking to have a breakout game here in our final one on Storm Point, and that care package is landing towards them as well. So Razor not out of the water just yet, but if they win their next gunfight, they're able to claim this care package. That can be great for them. I just noticed on the screen, looks like Cardinal ends up getting eliminated. SSG stand between them and this care package. Looks like SSG want their hands on it as well.
SSG with the smokes, easy pickup for them. We'll find out if it's going to be an early game weapon. It's just an armor there for Alberle. It wasn't even really much of an upgrade. Blue to purple. Rough that they couldn't find an early game weapon, maybe an RE45, maybe a Kraber in their hands. We've seen a handful of great Kraber shots today. Aegon by AOC now on the move again and trying to find out where their next move is going to be. The one team inside of the building directly in front of them. Smokes are going to go in over towards the area where they want to go and try to make the rotation. The scan happens for 4C at the right time. Sliding down this ramp is so fun.
You must really want chaos. You're calling for like a round one Kraber? Come on now, T2.
I do.
That is absolutely insane.
I want rockets round 3. You know, round 1 sniper, round 2 rockets. Imagine rocket launcher inside this game. I think that, you know, people are just sitting inside the building. You just run in with rockets, double kill.
That'll definitely change the meta. 18 squads are raiding right now on board with Aegon, who able to stabilize a bit, but 2 players with white shields is not what you want to see. You also don't want to see a team that might be zipping towards you, but hold on. They might be able to catch the jump on them, especially if they don't know that Aegon is here. Zipping right into this building could be a mistake. Aegon might be ready for it.
And that's why you have Seer on your team a majority of these times. Tripods, they're in the hunt for first place. They also are in the hunt for some blood as they find one player on the opposite side of this wall. That's going to be Joe Max from Leave No Witnesses. Blowing Thunder is going to be used. It's going to actually be the knock. That's going to hit on top of where Nickmerks is. And it's going to be Reddit Tricky coming around the corner. They're winning this 2 versus 3 somehow, some way. One more player remaining, and they're able to drop the tripods.
No.
Wow, what an ultimate there. Coming in from the Bangalore player, Reddit Tricky. And I was not expecting tripods to lose that. Very rarely do you see them lose team fights straight up, especially in a 2-on-3.
They were tied for second place going into this game, but I think it's safe to say they are not coming out with a top 3 finish here. I think there's going to be multiple teams that usurped them on the leaderboard. One of them could be DZ sitting in 11th place, but with 27 points, still respectable. A huge game for them. Could really climb into that top 2 placing or top 3 placing and get themselves within the money. Bloodhound scan is in. DZ now have the information that they're looking for. Will they choose to fight it out? The charge rifle is going to make it a little tough for them to close the gap, but we're seeing M1 still trying to find an angle, still trying to find an opportunity. DZ might be choosing actually to rotate out. Not a bad idea. Charge rifle makes things really tough for you to control the pace of that gunfight.
It's been a little bit of a slower game for DZ this time around. They're able to actually play the game this time instead of being stuck watching the enemy players after the initial 50-50s. In the Pro League, we see this fight taking place off of the rotation all the time with 100 Thieves. This is typically where both those teams will meet up and they'll fight for this specific spot so they can continue on to the rotation. And this fight can last quite some time, and DZ is no stranger on how to take this one. Scans happening for Jen Burton. On the opposite side, it doesn't look like the Seer scan is going to be able to hit, so they do have a little bit of an advantage. If they do want to pop the ultimate, they could go for that one, and they do. So Seer ultimate is being used. They're going to have to buy a little bit of time here for DZ. While that's happening, you might as well just continue to check your back. Very rarely will a team push through their Seer ultimate. They're just kind of using that as a defensive stand.
Interesting spot for DZ, because you know that team is behind them with that charge rifle. I'm not sure if they're going to push up, but it looks like the Bloodhound scan comes in. Looks like that team is trying to get involved, so now DZ might be caught between a rock and a hard place. Both their north and their south are being covered by two different teams. This is a smart play by DZ. I think you just have to try to catch a wide angle, go right, force your way out of this. So the last thing you want to do is be stuck between two different teams. Meanwhile, Aegon by AOC getting to a fight of their own, not having the shields really to work with, but the R301 doesn't care whatsoever. Beautiful shots by him. I don't think he's done just yet. Coming in with the passion and the R301. Another victim to a beautiful spray. Karma does end up going down here, but our Bangalore player doing phenomenal force, coming in quick with the Mastiff down to one shot, but still confident enough to pull it off. A third party's coming in, and it's going to be Razor. That drill is drilling through them at the moment.
That hurts. You just win a nasty 3v3 against a very solid team. SSG was in second place throughout all of that, so Tripods and SSG both eliminated. That leaves room for Mike and Ike to go up on the leaderboard and potentially move in higher up on this Mobile One leaderboard to take over second place and secure themselves a little bit more money. And that accumulative leaderboard for our partner teams really matters as well too, as we see what Vermouth is up to. 33 points and still in 10th place. It's a decent amount of points, plus they had a very clean team fight previously. LNW now on the move. Looks like they're the team that is currently on the hunt. You can see what the thought process for Joe Max take on over towards the high ground. Lay some R301 shots in. The riot drill is going to go through that tree. Unfortunately, it does not land onto Renatricky, so he's just going to back off, reset over here, and then they'll figure out what they're going to do with the next scans. They have to play around the Bloodhound scans. They have to play around their abilities, especially the Horizon Q, if they want to go and use that one. Asuras in the kill feed ends up getting dropped. And now the rotation going in for zone number 2 should be happening for a majority of these teams. Top Gun looks like they're one of those teams, as we're on board with Designful, and he's still playing Pathfinder.
I thought it was a Marvin. I'm like, there's no Marvin on this map right now. It's Designful on the Pathy. My man's playing pubs. The rest of the lobby's playing competitive. We're gonna find out exactly what comes out on top of Top Gun. Trying to find an interesting angle. Does Chaotic much? Not able to find the exact angle he's looking for, so he's forced to back down, and with that Designful ends up being taken down. The nade gonna pull him into the black screen, and it looks like the 2 down is only so much that Fudgesicle can do. It seems like it's only a matter of time before he gets collapsed on, and we're down to 14 squads.
Like a clone jutsu right there. There was 2 players dancing with each other like it was Ghost or something like that, as we see Mike and Ike. This is, again, the team to look out for, because they could take over second place. Heck, they may be able to win this one if CLG doesn't continue to pick up massive points and they end up getting eliminated. SCN now very close. Great shots coming in from Klein. R301, Gold Mag with the 1-2X. Prowler in the back pocket, too. We've seen the Prowler continue to be used for a handful of different reasons. One, it's great going up the lift. 2, it's great countering players going up the lift. So if you're ever looking to maybe counter these Horizon players, definitely recommend picking up the Prowler in these type of situations. Also one of the higher DPS weapons that we have inside of Apex. MJ taken to the skies, not able to locate where these players are going to be. Gets maximum height out of that one, but Wizard Coin does need to heal. I'm not quite sure if they have meds for him.
No genjutsu about it. As of right now, Mike and Ike find himself in trouble. They have the zone against the wall. There's a charge rifle holding them out right now. We see Wizard Coin trying to replenish some of these shields and health. It's a really interesting spot for Mike and Ike to fight themselves out of, but one that they'll have to. They're sitting in they're sitting in 4th place right now. We know for a fact that Tripods have already been eliminated. Mike and Ike can squeeze their way into a top 3 finish, get themselves within the money, and maybe even pull off a 2nd place or a win. Mike and Ike choosing to rotate right through the south side. No real cover to work with, like no Bangalore within the composition, so they're just running from cover to cover, and luckily they haven't taken too much damage just yet. Could somebody get Wizard Coin a med kit though?
Yeah, or it just needs to play Octane so we can start passively healing shots around the rock, not able to connect with just a little bit of warning shots, and you can see how safe they have to play going forward. They don't have a Bangalore to smoke out these doors or the windows. They're going to have to just continue to put it scans through there as well. It looks like a charge rifle. That's Wizard Coin's worst nightmare right now, as he barely gets around the corner with 1 HP. pops the battery, and woof, oh, excuse me, just to sell. Man, they are in shambles town.
It's crazy to me. Like, I know he's so frustrated because as they're 3-man running through open field, they're like, well, he's like, why did they shoot the seer? Like, shoot the guy in front of him, shoot the guy behind him. He's so like, why did you shoot me in the middle? Hopefully they can share some resources, or, you know, they're fighting it out right now. They throw a little fisticuffs. They don't need a nade. The man needs a phoenix.
Yeah, he's going to elect to knock himself because he's going to have more HP if he gets res. So this is smart. They even have the gold knockdown res, so next level strategies here. You know, do that in your rank games, guys. It'll always work. Your teammates will not make fun of you. Oh, Nano's there. They're gifting points now on over to CLG.
I mean, love the play. And sadly, didn't work out exactly the way they want to. Vermouth, though, climbing a bit of an uphill battle. We see the Maggie drill come in, but nobody home just yet. Meanwhile, the wrecking ball's coming in, dealing with the spider, but you gotta watch out for that horizon. Oh, that's coming in and getting griefed immediately. Vermouth gonna find themselves 2 down immediately. Hundor, look, hitting shots to R301 despite being through the smoke. Now, I mean, he didn't have a digi threat on R3, but he does have one on the Peacekeeper. Horizon gonna fly at him. And there's just way too many bodies for him to fight out of. Slept on, able to deal with Vermouth and come in quick with the res. Very close to that circle. 13 squads remaining. Round 4 zone is coming in.
You could tell that guy plays Kovacs or Osu or something like that. Moving his reticle around that quickly. It's a little bit of a playable area here for Aegon by AOC. They were in 12th place when this game started. They're continuing to be in 12th place. Those pesky spiders making their way around the corner. Good grenade lands for 60 onto the red shield directly in front of him. XSI goes out. DZ picking up some kills. XSI did get a knock onto LNW, but those points are going to end up going on over towards Dark Zero. And now we got a Dragon Ball Z fight in the air. Zerbo rarely loses those, but he ends up getting dropped by Karma and the R9. Maybe a weapon diff right there because the aim looked really solid from both those players. Sung taking out the Riot Drill, also takes out the Prowler to boot. Psycho, last player alive. It's going to be a straight up one-on-one on top of the hill, but he's getting shot in the back, so a little bit of grief coming on the backhand side. Karma does get the battery off. He's going to have to figure out how he can continue to approach this fight without getting shot in the backhand side, but now it's all different angles being taken as Aegon by AOC gets dropped by Slept On. Really nice play there from Psycho. Movement on fleek as he's able to also find these armor swaps. The Spider's just continuing to grief the lobby.
I thought he was getting third party by a team. He was getting third party by the environment over here, Sung. Having to be rezzed up here. Looks like Slept On. Don't sleep on him, man. You find yourself in trouble. Sung finally connected with a Riot Drill after 6 games, and they end up winning that gunfight. Slept On bringing us down to 9 squads. Meanwhile, SZN trying to find some kind of way to climb this mountain. Ooh. The nades are going to connect, and Intel going to get eliminated because of it. That's what's one of the
corner. It's like, hey man, I found a really sick spot. Oh wait, we just got scanned. Nothing worse than that one. Is Mike and Ike now on the move after they lost Wizard Coin, and looks like they are getting shot in the back. Remember, they were knocked by CLG a little bit earlier. This time it's going to be DZ. Alt goes down from MJ. He's on top of the roof with basically no HP, and there it is. Mike and I getting shot across the map. This time it's going to be Shy with the charge rifle taking on over the roof here as CLG's been in this position the entire game. Zone pulled over towards their landing spot. They're continuing to big chill on their 72-point performance. They had around 54 points after World's Edge. Discount Preds now. They are being hunted on the backhand side of the map, and Slept On gets eliminated though. The hunts become the hunted. Nice job by Discount Preds.
Slept On did everything they can to try to make it into the end game. Sadly, they're going to be taken down. So, I mean, as far as we know, I know Tripods, Mike and like XSI, and Slept On have been eliminated. That's multiple teams that were in the running from getting top 2, maybe even winning. We're starting to get knocked down here. Discount Preds currently sitting in last place right now, but trying to make a name for themselves. DZ sitting in 11th place. Surprising at that, but they have triple reds. They seem to be ready to fight. DZ still trying to pull himself a win, and who knows, you know, with these numbers, they might be able to sneak their way into the top 2 as well.
Yeah, they were in 11th place before this game started, really trying to boost their stock in this final game, but this is the first time we've seen them execute on Stormpoint at the level we know that they could because of the 50-50s that they were taking place over towards the mill. And look at Jen just absolute turret in the middle of the map, dropping Stinky, turning around, doing a 180, and laying down another broken shield directly behind him. CLG, they know what's up. They're in the God spot. They've been here the entire time. They just need to hold off the teams.
CLG with a 20-point lead going into this final game, looking comfortable going into this end zone, back against the zone. Love this positioning, but I will say there is a team right above them. They might be forced to fight this out here. Armor swaps are already laid out. Triple red armors. Got a Turbo Havoc in the hands of Mamba right now. CLG are just daring this team to drop down.
This is a great setup in terms of weaponization because you're able to poke with the 30-30, switch on over to the Havoc. That thing's going to be rocking and rolling. Scans where they are anticipating players to come up from. And everybody keeping their head on a swivel because you need to be able to poke people out of your building. You don't want them to start trapping you in. Purple Dragon, they go out in 6th place. But this has been a great performance from CLG because a lot of times you get into the God spot, but you're not able to pick up kills. They were able to pick up 5 kills, 2 assists just on Mamba alone, 12 points for them overall. So that's a really great job in terms of utilizing the God spot while playing aggressive. The team on top of the roof is going to be a little bit annoying, but they can almost kind of work together with this team, Tony. Unfortunately for them, they don't have any of the doors besides that particular door. So this is kind of where Nano decides he wants to work around. It's going to be an all on top of the roof. DZ's all around the corner. A nice job kind of sitting outside of the ultimate and putting in some damage from Nano.
I know so far CLG and DZ that are in the lobby right now. I believe I saw Tyson as well. Trying to find out who exactly that 4th team is right now. But so far, this game is wide. This lobby's been wide open. We talked about it before. 2nd place and 10th place were separated by just 7 points. Anybody can come in. It's SCN is another team that's out there as well. So a lot of teams that really weren't in the running for squeezing into the top 2 going to make that final leaderboard very interesting. But it's still CLG that are trying to put their stamp on this final game, put a stamp on this tournament, and claim it for their own. DZ right above them. CLG on the low ground. Almost seems like they're working together, like you said.
And you know what? CLG switches compositions again here. If I'm not mistaken, they won 2 out of the 3 games on World's Edge. They were playing different Legends when Stormpoint started. They end up switching again because Mamba was playing on Cossack. This time he switches on over to Bloodhound. So we're seeing a lot of different layers to the CLG strategies here, and they're all viable. That makes them a very scary team in my opinion. Final round closing. All 4 squads are full. You can see what the thought process is here for CLG. They really want to eliminate this team directly below them. Smokes going down. I'm not quite sure if that was Shies or if that was from the enemy team. A couple of warning shots around the corner coming in for Mamba. But this is where the focus is. And keep in mind, you have a team directly above them, which is going to be DZ. So both these teams will have to move, and they're going to have to move directly where the 3 players on the east side and the northeast side are going to be. Kodagami and the Tyson squad, they're getting knocked. They're not in a good position. They were definitely in the weakest spot out of everybody inside of the lobby. It's going to be Klain and his squad in the God spot, playing on the fence. Eventually, DZ is going to have to get off the high ground. This is the Rolling Thunder to try to cause a little bit of visual clutter. They're going to take out over toward the sky and focus exactly where Klain, Hakulo, and Z are. Great shots, great arc stars. They're going to try to take this position, get the armor swaps, and then make a move. Battery ends up being popped. It's going to be 0 going down. This is going to be huge for CLG. A potential another CLG win in the making. The 30-30, it doesn't even need to be used. You could just go for punches at this point, and CLG takes another one. It's the final game, and it is a great performance for CLG. A handful of different legends, a handful of different strategies, one result, and that's first place.
CLG came into this final game with a 20-point lead, but they weren't comfortable with it, making that final game look easy. CLG are taking this tournament most likely. I guess we'll have to wait till the numbers get crunched, but whew, I told you before, that's Apex, baby.
No doubt about it. They had 60 points when that game started. At this point, they picked up an additional 26 points. Great job coming in from Shy with the damage, almost 3k damage. Again, it is not easy to take the God spot, hold it the entire time, but to be able to pick up that amount of kills from that position. CLG is a scary team at this point. I mean, they're playing really unorthodox legends and compositions when it comes to World's Edge. This time, they switch midway through Storm Point, go with something a little bit more aggressive. It works out for them. Granted, they did get the zone pulling over towards them, but you can't say enough about how CLG played tonight.
My teams that I play with don't pull off 14 kills in an 8-hour session. They pulled off 14 kills in just one game in a competitive tournament. CLG showing exactly what we thought they were. They're a damn good team, and every other team in the league needs to be watching out for them because they're going to be coming in really hot into the ALGS.
They were who we thought they were, and that is definitely a statement coming in from CLG to be able to close it out on a win while you're already in first place. Big shout out to our partner teams, big shout out to all of our pro teams that have filled in, some of our open teams that came in and filled in as well. It was a great night of Apex, great casting with you as well, Tony. Glad to see you back, hope to see you more here. And we're going to toss this one on over to Yeso. Thanks everybody for watching our pro night. Yeso, take it away.
Thank you, gents. Just got to echo, yeah, great cast on the night from both of those gentlemen, pros, and always fun to see those two teaming up here and doling out 6 games of awesome commentary. And CLG finishing the night on a high note, possibly their best game of the night there with a 14-kill victory, their 3rd here on the day. 2 on World's Edge, 1 on Storm Point. And while we aren't looking at the Mobile 1 leaderboard yet, we can just crown them as our champions here tonight because they were dominant front to back. Let's take a look, though, at our final Mobile 1 high performance moment here of the night and check out one of the best moments from today. And it's just going to be the finish here. Dark Zero, they lay down the Bangalore ultimate. They know they've got to go for this push. They've got to get off of the high ground. Smokes are out, Bang ult out, and they just get what they can out of this. You can see shields broken on multiple members here on the side of Season. So Dark Zero able to do a lot of work, but not enough to get the win because CLG gets to play it slow, come in for the third party, and it's just a couple of quick 30-30 shots to finish it off, and CLG grabs the win. But, I mean, this is Dark Zero making the play that they have to make. You heard T-Squared and Wynut setting it up, that they were going to have to leave this high ground, and it was just whether or not they could get over here and get a clean and quick finish on Season to maybe hope for the reset. But it's such a hard play when you don't have a clean sightline on them from the roof. You have to go to them, and while the Bangalore ultimate does give them some good assistance, ultimately they have to put themselves in harm's way just to get that first knock, and it ultimately means CLG gets to push in with that third-party timing and grab the victory. But still a solid showing from Dark Zero tonight, but it was CLG's night here on Series E. And let's take a look at that final Mobile 1 leaderboard. They finish at 86 points. Dark Zero does grab that second place finish there with that final game, 4 points ahead of Slept On, who get up to 43. Space Station and Mike and Ike round out that top 5, and good to see both Mike and Ike and Razor in that top 10, in that top 7. Solid showings from both of those squads, but it was CLG's night here today, and they definitely looked the part, so hats off to them, and we'll have to see if they can keep it rolling because CLG has been hands down the best team coming to compete in Series E so far in 2023, and maybe they can keep that rolling as it continues. That is going to do it for us tonight, folks. Hope you had fun. A lot of great Apex action here. As always, a reminder, we've got Guilty Gear Strive and Multiverses to close out the week on Thursday and Friday, so make sure you're here for all of that fun. We'll be here to bring you all of the action. And also a quick reminder, due to Frosty Faustings happening next weekend, we will be off from Guilty Gear Strive next Thursday. I think we'll still have a little something fun going on the channel, but we likely will not have a live tournament. We'll have further updates for you guys here in the near future, so keep an eye out for that. But that is going to do it for us here, folks. My name is Yeso. A pleasure to host for you as always. For myself, the entire live broadcast crew, and everybody here at Esports Arena, thank you so much for joining us here tonight. We'll see you again tomorrow.